Previously in chapters 1881 to 1900, after claiming the perfect body containing 9 essences and world power from GC, Wang Lin enters closed-door cultivation within the Green Scorpion Temple. He begins fusing his essences to achieve a major breakthrough. First, Wang Lin uses the earth essence as a medium to forcefully fuse the water and fire essences, creating a new 5-element true body and successfully advancing from the Nirvana Void stage to the early Arcane Void stage. Not stopping there, he takes a risky approach by using his Thunder Essence true body to forcibly absorb 2 special essences, Slaughter and Restriction. This audacious fusion aims to push his cultivation to the mid-Arcane Void stage, preparing him to face the 9 arcane tribulations and ultimately reach the Void Turbulent stage. Thunder, the extreme power of the world. It wasn't number 1 but the only one. Thunder was the might of the heavens and lived above the world. When it occasionally descended below, the thunderous rumbles were like the wrath of the heavens. Wang Lin's thunder essence was born from half an ancient thunder dragon. The ancient thunder dragon was created to bear the power of thunder, and was the embodiment of thunder in the world. With this half-ancient thunder dragon, Wang Lin had the bud of an essence. Then, after absorbing the thunder from the scattered Thunder Clan, his essence was one step from completion. This step was not easy to cross, but Wang Lin created another path by creating the accompanying thunders. He used the soul of the Thunder Toad and his G realm to complete the accompanying thunders, which brought the essence infinitely close to completion. Then, on the immortal astral continent 100 years ago, the Devil Dao sect master, who had a different thunder essence, poured his thunder essence into Wang Lin. He had even devoured 2 Thunder Emperor beads and transferred their power into Wang Lin. All of this accumulated to allow Wang Lin's thunder essence to change dramatically and condense an essence true body. This thunder essence true body contained its own will, but most of this will belong to Wang Lin. Even Wang Lin didn't expect his inadvertent action to cause such a drastic change to happen to his thunder essence true body. The slaughter essence was a special essence. Its power was invisible. It was composed of endless slaughter, and this wasn't indiscriminate slaughter, but a slaughter with a purpose. This is what made it a special essence. The slaughter essence contained unimaginable killing intent and could change how the world functioned. It was far more powerful than ordinary essences. Back then, Xianxia's slaughter essence allowed him to battle against people with higher cultivation levels, which just showed how powerful it was. Wang Lin had not used the slaughter essence much. He had mostly used it to create an imposing aura. However, when it was fused with the thunder essence, it suddenly changed. This change was not something Wang Lin could imagine. This kind of thing was extremely rare. The fusion of thunder and slaughter formed a type of slaughter that was above everything. It could destroy all life. Most importantly, this slaughter had a mission. This mission would start when the slaughter appeared and end with it disappeared. Ancient legends say that when heaven was angry, it used thunder to destroy the world. Thunder existed in early times to punish living beings. Only during the destruction of the world would this slaughter thunder appear. After Wang Lin's thunder essence true body fused with the slaughter essence that required its own will, the thunder changed. When they integrated, it gave birth to something that shouldn't be created, or perhaps something that could not be controlled by cultivators. The wrath of the heavens slaughter thunder. Wang Lin stared dumbfoundedly at the thunder essence true body before him. He could not see a trace of thunder on this essence true body, but with his divine sense, he could feel a terrifying bolt of thunder slowly moving through the body. This bolt of thunder contained the power that made Wang Lin's scalp go numb. Once this thunder was released from the essence true body, it would have shockingly destructive power. Wang Lin swallowed hard and gasped. He vaguely guessed that his unintentional action had formed a terrifying form of thunder. Once his thunder was released, even his own body would be destroyed. This feeling was so strong that he had the impulse to immediately stop this fusion. He had a feeling that this thunder should not appear in this world, or that it was not the time for it to appear. The thunder slowly rotated around the essence true body and released crackling sounds. These crackling sounds were extremely clear in the silent Scorpion Temple. Wang Lin's pupils shrank when the thunder seemed to show signs of instability. It gave off a sliver of aura that leaked out of the Scorpion Temple, and instantly spread out across the entire Green Devil continent. Every living creature trembled and felt the illusion that they were all going to be destroyed. However, the moment this silver of aura appeared, it instantly disappeared. Everything happened in a flash and didn't attract the attention of any Grand Empyrean. Once this thunder explodes the Green Devil continent, Wang Lin rarely felt fear, but this time he felt fear toward the thunder he had created. Just as the slaughter thunder became unstable, Wang Lin's thunder essence true body began to integrate with the restriction essence. The restriction essence was law and rule. It formed a large net and shrouded the thunder essence true body. Thunder had laws and rules, but they were made by the heavens. However, because the thunder essence true body contained Wang Lin's will and the restriction essence, the thunder was no longer controlled by the heavens. It had completely changed. The result of this change was that this bolt of thunder contained laws and rules that belonged to Wang Lin. The slaughter thunder was perfectly contained within the essence true body, and the signs of instability slowly disappeared. In this short period of time, Wang Lin's forehead had become covered in sweat. He looked at the essence true body before him and felt like he was dreaming. The appearance of the avatar was no different from before, and it calmly stood there. However, from Wang Lin's point of view, it was completely different from before. One couldn't see any trace of thunder on this essence true body. The inside and outside of the body were covered in restrictions that were all wrapped around a bolt of slaughter thunder. Perhaps it's not to destroy a continent. Wang Lin stared at his essence true body and silently pondered. As he silently pondered, his mid-stage arcane void cultivation suddenly erupted. His power formed a storm and rotated rapidly, becoming a vortex. Every rotation would increase Wang Lin's cultivation level greatly. Not only was he absorbing power from the world, but also the power that had been gathering inside his body that was for the Green Devil Scorpion. With this force as fuel, Wang Lin's white hair moved as if there was a powerful gust of wind. Popping sounds echoed and his eyes shined. The power in his body increased until it reached a peak. Then a thunderous rumble echoed. He suddenly rushed past the mid-stage of arcane void and entered the late stage. Late-stage arcane void. The doubt in Wang Lin's eyes dissipated and was replaced with determination. The appearance of the slaughter thunder was beyond his imagination. He vaguely felt his heart skip a beat when the slaughter thunder appeared. A small part of the shock was due to the thunder itself. It was the changes that were triggered by this thunder that really shocked him. These changes was not something anyone else could feel, not even a Grand Empyrean. Only Wang Lin could feel it, because it was created by him and contained his essence and will. Wang Lin no longer thought about this matter. When Wang Lin reached the late stage of arcane void, he looked at the last three ethereal essences: life and death, karma, and true and false. Once these three ethereal essences fused into one, his 9 essences would become 3, and he would go from late-stage arcane void to peak arcane void. Then he could go through the 9 arcane tribulants. Once he broke through 9 arcane tribulants, he would step into the realm of void tribulant cultivators. With his battle ability, if he reached the early stage of void tribulant, he could battle peak void tribulant cultivators. He could even become number 1 below Grand Empyrean. In other words, he would become half a Grand Empyrean. This amount of power would make it so there was no place he couldn't go, and no one would casually scheme against him or manipulate him, because he, Wang Lin, was going to become the 10th strongest person on the immortal astral continent. While Wang Lin was fusing his essences and staring at the 3 remaining ethereal essences, outside the Green Devil continent, outside the Eastern continent, outside the land of the Celestials, outside the immortal astral continent. If the immortal astral continent was the world, then there was a space-like void outside this world. In a place extremely far away from the immortal astral continent, there was another continent. This continent could not compare to the immortal astral. It was less than 1/10 the size and there was no trace of life on it. One could see ruins of death on this continent. It was as if there was a large amount of life here, but it had all died in a disaster. In the middle of this continent, there was a very large ruin of a city with a huge statue at the center. This was a statue of a woman, but it had mostly collapsed and only half the body remained. Sitting on the statue was a middle-aged man. This man looked ordinary, but he had shockingly long hair. His hair was nearly 1,000 feet long, and it was hanging on the mostly collapsed statue. Just as Wang Lin's thunder essence true body fused with the slaughter essence to give birth to the slaughter thunder, this middle-aged man seemed to awaken from countless years of slumber and opened his eyes. There were no pupils in his eyes, only a void filled with death. He looked into the distance and there was a flash of light in his eyes. The middle-aged man looked into the distance and after a long time he muttered to himself, "I've awakened one calamity early." He lowered his head, looked at the ruins below, and spread out his divine sense. His divine sense was very powerful, so it instantly covered every inch of his continent. He vaguely remembered that a long time ago, he came here and destroyed this place. After killing every living thing here, he absorbed the death aura and remained in closed-door cultivation. According to his calculations, he should have awakened after 5 calamities, but now he had awakened one calamity ahead. The aura that shook my heart from the bottom of my soul and made me awaken early came from that direction. It is the aura of the same kind. Could it be that a similar existence was born? The man silently pondered. He vaguely had some memories of what lied in the direction that the aura came from. That place should be where the guardian is. The middle-aged man thought for a moment and then slowly stood up. When he stood up, a ghostly light shined and a black robe appeared. The black robe covered his face, leaving only the shockingly long hair that penetrated the robe through a special method hanging there. He walked toward the sky, the long hair behind him looking like a black dragon. As he gradually flew through the sky, the figure of a black dragon appeared, making it seem as if this man was a black dragon. He flew in the direction of the immortal astral continent that was extremely far away from this place. At his speed, it would take hundreds of years to reach the immortal astral continent. In the depths of the Green Scorpion Temple in the Green Devil continent, Wang Lin looked at the 3 ethereal essences before him. His hands formed a seal and he pointed forward. With this, the 3 ethereal essences began to gather and slowly fused. These 3 ethereal essences were not gained through external means, but were born from his own domains and comprehension. For these 3 essences to be born, a bud formed during his first mortal transformation, then it grew during his second mortal transformation, and it finally reached completion in his third mortal transformation. Life and death, karma, and true and false reacted to each other and changed each other. They slowly fused before Wang Lin. In the life and death essence, Wang Lin saw planet Suzaku and 3 generations of Danyo's family. In the karma essence, Wang Lin saw Lu Mei, he saw Wang Ping, and he saw himself being a father. In the true and false essence, he saw Su Dao, the dream of 60 years, and many familiar faces. These 3 ethereal essences were no longer just essences to Wang Lin. They were his life of defying the heavens. I used the life and death essence to leave mortality, I used the karma essence to obtain Dao, and I used the true and false essence to comprehend. In life and death, my chaotic thoughts gave birth to karma. In this karma, I continued to confirm my Dao. In the end, between true and false, I searched for where my Dao was. After life and death was karma, after karma was true and false, and after true and false it is to enter Dao. The fusion of the 3 ethereal essence is no difficult. They were born because of me, formed because of me, and will fuse because of me. As Wang Lin murmured, he waved his right hand. The 3 ethereal essences before him quickly started to rotate and fused with each other. As they fused, he looked at his essences. Inside, he saw everything from his birth until this moment in his life. He saw himself kneeling before his parents' grave, roaring at the sky while filled with tears. He saw himself holding Li Muwen's body and roaring at the sky. As Li Muwen closed her eyes, her tears dripped from the corners of her eyes and landed on the ground. He faintly saw that a year later, a dreamlike flower bloomed where the tears had landed. He saw himself when learned that Lu Mei had given birth to his child. He saw himself looking at the child that was filled with resentment and cough out blood from the pain of his heart dying. He saw Li Qianmei wiping blood and tears on his statue during those 10 years. Then he saw all the did you know? From all the strangers. My entire life. Wang Lin let out a sigh. His face seemed to age as the 3 ethereal essences fused. Time passed by. As Wang Lin recounted his own memories, the 3 ethereal essences silently fused together. The fusion of the 3 essences turned into a line that was filled with Wang Lin's memories. This line formed a ring and was imprinted on his forehead. The moment the ring imprinted, the reminiscence in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced with a golden light. In this golden light, Wang Lin's cultivation level increased once more. When his cultivation level increased, the power of that was intended for the Green Devil Scorpion was absorbed by him. Even the large portion of the Green Devil Scorpion soul that Wang Lin had devoured after the failed possession was absorbed by Wang Lin's origin soul. But this was not enough. This much power of the world could only make Wang Lin's cultivation level become infinitely close to peak arcane void. It was not enough to break through and enter arcane turbulent to face the arrival of the 9 arcane turbulents. He still needed more power of the world. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he opened his mouth without hesitation to inhale. As he inhaled, power of the world rushed into the Scorpion Temple, and even the fog outside was pulled in, forming a huge vortex. This became a heavenly phenomenon. This sudden change caught the attention of all the cultivators on the Green Devil continent. The battle between the Green Devil continent and the Heavenly Bull continent had reached its end. After a large amount of cultivators had died, there weren't many cultivators left on the Green Devil continent, but those that remained were all powerful cultivators. In particular, although countless disciples had died, the Devil Dao sect still had nearly 30% of their sect remaining. However, their sect master had gone into closed-door cultivation more than 100 years ago and hadn't come out yet. At this moment, the huge change happening at the Green Devil Scorpion Temple, at the center of the Green Devil continent, was felt by the cultivators of various sects on the Green Devil continent. Anyone who could feel it knew or heard of the rumor of the Green Devil being revived. At this moment, more than 10 rays of light rushed toward the Green Devil Scorpion Temple. There were also 2 rays of light from the Devil Dao sect as well to witness the resurrection of the Green Devil Scorpion. The phenomenon around the Green Scorpion Temple lasted for several months. During this time, a large amount of power of the world gathered toward this location like crazy. Those cultivators who came didn't dare to get close. They only observed from the edge of the phenomenon. They retreated as the phenomenon expanded. All of this power of the world rushed into Wang Lin's body during these several months, and his cultivation level continued to become higher. On a day after several months, his cultivation suddenly erupted and thunderous rumbles echoed inside his body. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, his cultivation level increased from late-stage arcane void to peak arcane void. This fluctuation of cultivation was hidden under the surge of power of the world. The Green Devil continent cultivators also didn't dare to spread out their divine senses, in fear of affecting the resurrection of the Green Devil Scorpion. They couldn't bear the anger of the Green Devil Scorpion, so no one noticed anything. When Wang Lin reached the peak of arcane void, he opened his eyes and revealed a terrifyingly cold gaze. He waved his right hand and the 5-element essence true body fused with his body. When this happened, Wang Lin's power increased several-fold. Shortly after, he waved his right hand and the terrifying thunder essence true body walked forward. It overlapped with Wang Lin's body, and as thunder cracked and popped, it fused with Wang Lin, becoming part of his body. The moment the thunder essence true body returned, Wang Lin's body erupted with a shocking aura. He felt his own strength increase. At this moment, he could battle against late-stage void turbulent cultivators even without the Heavenly Bull soul armor. This was still on the premise that he didn't use the Slaughter Thunder. Once he risked using the terrifying Slaughter Thunder, not even he knew how destructive that power would be. That thunder was something he had inadvertently created, and he could not control it. This powerful feeling gave him a powerful sense of faith in himself. This changed his temperament and would shock all those who faced him before he even attacked. Wang Lin stood up with his hands behind his back and looked up. His gaze could penetrate the Scorpion Temple and see the sky above. His divine sense spread out and he saw the entire Scorpion Temple. Yunifeng's group of 3 was no longer there. Apparently they had stayed for too long and no longer dared to stay any longer. This was no longer important. To Wang Lin, Edge Cloud was merely a cloud of smoke from the past. What he needed to face now was the 9 arcane turbulence. If I can pass through the 9 arcane turbulence in one go and reach void turbulent, I'll destroy the entire Devil Dao sect. Even late-stage void turbulent cultivators will be destroyed to repay for the 100-year fortune. There was a coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he was filled with a powerful killing intent. Looking up, Wang Lin was waiting. waiting for the arcane turbulence that would turn him into a void turbulent cultivator to arrive. He had never seen any arcane turbulence, but he was confident enough to stand high above and see the beauty of the arcane turbulence. Since ancient times, everyone who was qualified to face arcane turbulence were all extremely cautious and nervous. Even Grand Empyreans were like this before they became Grand Empyreans. People like Wang Lin were extremely rare. Arcane Turbulent was a metamorphosis between Arcane Void and Void Turbulent. It was different from Divine Tribulation, which only used forms of thunder. Instead, it used a special method to cause each collapse for a cultivator. If one couldn't pass an Arcane Turbulent, they would die. Many Arcane Void cultivators feared the Arcane Turbulence. Many would rather stay in the Arcane Void stage rather than face the terrifying Arcane Turbulence. Like how Dao Master Blue Dream stayed at peak Arcane Void for a long time and still hadn't stepped into the Arcane Turbulent stage. Once you entered Arcane Turbulent, it was like facing 9 life or death situations. Not everyone had this kind of courage. Most Arcane Turbulent cultivators spent thousands of years, or even longer, to slowly pass each one. They were not confident enough to pass through 9 at once. Whenever they felt like it was going bad, they would stop it by force and not seek the fortune within the Arcane Turbulent. Arcane Turbulent was a calamity but also a fortune. If one passed through 3 in a row, their origin soul would double in size. Those that could pass through 6 in a row would see their origin soul triple in size. Those that passed all 9 in a row would have their origin soul increased several-fold. As for exactly how much, no one knew because only 2 people had ever managed to do it, and both became Grand Empyreans later on. If they didn't divulge, no one would know. However, this revealed how dangerous it was. Rumor had it that these 2 Grand Empyreans were seriously injured after passing all 9 arcane turbulence and went into closed-door cultivation for a long time. If ordinary cultivators could pass through 6 arcane turbulence in a row, they would become extremely powerful at the early stage of Void Turbulent. Ignoring treasures, they could battle mid-stage Void Turbulent and not lose. However, it was very rare for people to obtain this fortune. To pass it 9 times in a row, and passing it 9 times over thousands of years was completely different. Arcane turbulence were extremely strange. Outsiders could not help. It all depended on oneself. Du Qing had passed several arcane turbulence, but he went through them separately, with each one becoming increasingly more difficult. It was likely he would be stuck for his entire life. However, it was not without hope. After all, he still had a certain amount of time to prepare. It wasn't much, but it was much better than going through them all at once. However, the later it becomes, the more of a test of life and death it becomes, and it eventually becomes a nightmare for people. Once you enter the arcane turbulent stage, even if you don't want to go through them, they will still come. It becomes a sign of death. On the immortal astral continent, someone had calculated the odds, and although it wasn't for certain, the first arcane turbulent had 10% chance of death. This number would increase until the 9th arcane turbulent, where there was a 90% chance of death. Based on this, passing through 9 arcane turbulence at once not only required strength, but also a certain amount of luck. Wang Lin was standing in the depths of the Scorpion building, and he was calm. He stepped forward and disappeared from inside the temple. When he reappeared, he was on the top of the tail of the scorpion. His head of white hair fluttered as if he was going to fly away with the wind. He stood there, waiting for the arrival of the arcane turbulence. Arcane turbulent, how will it arrive? I'm looking forward to it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had the confidence to face any arcane turbulent. His cultivated cycled faster and faster until his body gave off his peak arcane void aura. This aura gathered in his body until it erupted like a storm and shot into the sky. This aura seemed to fuse with the heavens and formed a shocking storm. The moment the storm appeared, it formed an invisible pressure and swept out with Wang Lin as the center. It instantly covered hundreds of kilometers and continued to spread. In these hundreds of kilometers, all living beings had to retreat from the pressure, and they weren't allowed to take half a step inside. This was an arcane turbulent. Once a cultivator decided to go through an arcane turbulent, no one could be around to help. The pressure continued to spread, reaching thousands of kilometers in width. It slowly closed in on the dozen or so Green Devil continent cultivators who had come to see the resurrection of the Green Devil scorpion. The expressions of these cultivators changed one by one. They didn't even need to use their divine senses to know that this meant that someone was going through an arcane turbulent. Arcane turbulent. How could the pressure of an arcane turbulent appear here? Could it be that Lord Green Devil's cultivation level dropped after resurrecting, and he now has to go through arcane turbulence to recover? Lord Green Devil was personally suppressed by the celestial ancestor, which means his cultivation level was extremely high. However, he was suppressed for far too long, and perhaps his cultivation level has really fallen a lot. The more than a dozen cultivators from the Green Devil continent all had their own thoughts and retreated from the pressure. They looked toward the temple, but their divine senses couldn't go too far into the pressure, so they couldn't see what was happening inside. As the pressure spread out thousands of kilometers at the center, Wang Lin stood on the tail of the Scorpion Temple and looked up at the sky. He saw snowflakes suddenly appear in the sky. These snowflakes were white. Soon they covered the sky, forming a curtain that surrounded the area. Snow. Wang Lin looked over. More and more snow appeared until it occupied the entire world and became the only thing floating in the sky within thousands of kilometers. As it fell, a cold aura spread out and a large amount of snow covered the ground. The moment the snow appeared, the more than a dozen cultivators from the Green Devil continent felt the coldness. They saw the floating snowflakes within. His first arcane turbulent is snow. This is rare. There are a total of 9 arcane turbulents. The first 3 are external, then the next 3 are internal, and the final 3 are soul. Let's see how Lord Green Devil will get through this snow arcane turbulent. Wang Lin looked at the snow with a calm expression. He didn't immediately act but watched as the snow descended. The snow became more and more dense, and it became even colder here. Not long after, the snow suddenly gathered as if time had been frozen. The countless snowflakes seemed to turn into sharp snow blades, and they rushed toward Wang Lin from all directions. They instantly closed in. Is this the first arcane turbulent? Wang Lin shook his head. There was disappointment in his eyes. He raised his right hand and waved at the incoming snow. With this wave, his 5-element true body moved. An overlapping shadow appeared as it walked out of Wang Lin's body. The moment the 5-element true body walked out, Wang Lin sat down on the tail of the huge scorpion. He waved his right hand and a jug of wine appeared in his hand. This jug was from a mortal city in the Heavenly Bull continent. He brought the jug next to his mouth and drank a big mouthful. His figure revealed a sense of bleakness as he sat there with his white hair hanging. His appearance revealed a hint of similarity to the black-robed middle-aged man who was sitting on the broken statue far from the immortal astral continent. Lonely, bleak, and indifferent, the 5-element true body walked out and released a monstrous sea of fire. The sea of fire turned into 99 fire dragons that rushed out and collided with the endless snowflakes. At this instant, thunderous rumbles echoed. Although the snowflake was sharp and cold, it was nothing before Wang Lin's fire-element true body. Large amounts of white gas appeared as the snowflakes melted, and in the blink of an eye, it filled the area. The 99 fire dragons gathered into one fire dragon as all the snow melted. It contained intense heat and fire as it flew into the sky. It was like a sharp sword that pierced the sky and burned the heavens. As it burned, the first arcane turbulent collapsed directly. Wang Lin took a sip of wine and shook his head as he muttered, "Too weak." The sky suddenly trembled and shook violently. A powerful wind howled and 9 shocking storms appeared in the sky. These 9 storms were 9 tornadoes that swept across the sky, causing the sea of fire to spread and thin until only the 9 storms remained. An extremely powerful force came from these 9 tornadoes, and the howling of the wind became the only sound in the world. This howling of the wind echoed as the 9 tornado rushed toward Wang Lin. They contained a powerful tearing force as if they wanted to tear his body apart. In a flash, the first tornado suddenly closed in. The 5-element true body didn't move. It just coldly stood behind Wang Lin. It watched as the tornado closed in and shrouded Wang Lin's body. The wind wrapped around Wang Lin and rotated like crazy. Large amounts of force wrapped around him as the thunderous howling echoed. However, Wang Lin still sat on the tail of the scorpion drinking wine as his clothes and hair fluttered in the wind, and his expression remained the same. He continued to drink wine as the second, third, fourth, until all 9 tornadoes gathered into one giant tornado that connected to the heavens around him. It was only at this moment that Wang Lin raised his head. Still too weak. Wang Lin shook his head. He didn't know how others passed their arcane turbulence, but the snow couldn't break through his essence true body, and this wind could not break through his physical strength. Even if this wind continued for hundreds of years, it would not be able to tear apart his current body. His body was not the same as before. After the enhancements given to him by the green-robed old man, his body was extremely strong and resilient. This kind of toughness and strength couldn't be affected by the wind at all. Wang Lin raised his left hand and reached toward the tornado around his body. He casually tore it. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and under Wang Lin's tearing force, the layers of tornadoes collapsed from the first layer directly to the 9th layer. All 9 tornadoes exploded and disappeared. The wind scattered. Wang Lin continued sitting there drinking wine. The 5-element true body stood behind him, coldly looking at the sky. The sky was dark like a gloomy face. Soon a turbulent cloud filled the sky. Thunderous rumbles filled the clouds as bolts of thunder moved through the sky, lighting up the earth below. The Green Devil continent cultivators thousands of kilometers away had witnessed the completion of the snow and wind turbulence. They were completely silent now. The sound of thunder became even more intense, and even more turbulent clouds appeared, covering the sky. They pressed down and even more lightning moved within. The clouds revealed a sense of madness and violence. However, none of this moved Wang Lin. He calmly drank wine and looked at the clouds and thunder in the sky. He suddenly laughed. Thunder. Wang Lin looked at the clouds and thunder in the sky again. He shook his head and drank a sip of wine. As he shook his head, thunderous rumbles came from the clouds in the sky. As the clouds moved, a bolt of thunder that was connected to the heavens descended on Wang Lin. This bolt of thunder contained shocking power and closed in the blink of an eye in an attempt to kill Wang Lin. Do you dare? Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and roared. His roar was beyond the sound of thunder, and suppressed the thunderous rumbles from the turbulent clouds. The will of thunder erupted from Wang Lin's body. This was the will of the Lord of Thunder. The thunder that was about to descend suddenly trembled and retreated when it was 1,000 feet from Wang Lin, as if it was afraid. Not only did it not attack Wang Lin, it actually charged toward the turbulent clouds. Since my thunder essence reached completion, only I can bring thunder down on others. Wang Lin raised his left hand and reached toward the clouds. The clouds trembled and released a roar as if they could not bear the pressure. All the thunder inside flew out toward Wang Lin. The endless thunder gathered before Wang Lin's left hand and formed a ball of thunder. Wang Lin waved his left hand and the ball of thunder flew into the sky and collided with the turbulent cloud. A thunderous rumble shook the world and the turbulent clouds collapsed without any resistance. The darkness that covered the world instantly disappeared. The 3rd arcane turbulent collapsed. Thousands of kilometers away, the more than a dozen of Green Devil continent cultivators could not see Wang Lin, but they could feel how easily the 3 arcane turbulents were passed. It was simple beyond belief. The power of these 3 arcane turbulents was ordinary, and any cultivator who had the courage could pass them. However, doing so would still take some time, and one would have to consume a lot of energy to pass the 3 arcane turbulents in a row to obtain the reward of their origin soul doubling in size. However, it was simply too rare for someone to get through so easily. It must be Lord Green Devil. Otherwise, it would be impossible for anyone else to do this. With Lord Green Devil's cultivation level, he has already experienced arcane turbulence. That's why he can be so relaxed while facing them again now. The Green Devil continent cultivators revealed respect. They looked into the area covered in the arcane turbulent pressure, waiting for Lord Green Devil to walk out. Wang Lin was still sitting on the tail of the scorpion and looking at the sky. The last 3 arcane turbulents had disappointed him. He now waited for the arrival of the 4th arcane turbulent and wanted to see if this one would shine. Wang Lin was using his calmness to watch the beauty of the arcane turbulence. What kind of arcane turbulent will the 4th one be? Wang Lin took a sip of wine. Just at this moment, countless ripples appeared in the calm sky. This ripple spread and soon covered the sky. Then a pressure spread out and shrouded the area. A giant drum 10,000 feet large descended from the sky. The 2 sides of the drum were made of unknown materials. It made no sound as it descended, but it gave off an ancient aura. The moment the drum appeared, Wang Lin looked over while holding the wine jug. A little interesting. As he muttered this, there was a flash of light in his eyes. At the same time, the sound of the drum echoed as if an invisible force had collided with it. It was as if countless people were beating the drum from different directions, creating a sound wave. The moment the sound from the drum echoed, Wang Lin's flesh, blood, bones and meridians all trembled. He clearly felt that the sound of the drum was not coming from the surface of the drum, but from his own body. This caused the light in Wang Lin's eyes to become even stronger. As the drum echoed, he felt an itching feeling spread throughout his body. At this moment, his body couldn't move due to the vibrations from the drum. Just as the drum sound echoed through Wang Lin's body, a large amount of fog gathered to form a huge fog sword. This sword looked like an illusion, as if it didn't exist, but the moment it appeared, it released a monstrous killing intent. The killing intent spread through the sword, and as the sword rose into the air, the killing intent became even stronger. Then the sword directly chopped down toward Wang Lin's head. This sword wasn't cutting Wang Lin's body, nor his origin soul or soul. It was going to cut the connection between his body and his origin soul and soul. Once severed, his soul and origin soul could never return to his body again. This sword affected the bloodline, which would make it so his soul and body would be like water and fire. This would force the soul and origin soul to stay away from the body. This was the first of the internal tribulants, the separation tribulant. The drum was the key. The moment it appeared, it indicated that the three internal arcane tribulants would begin. This tribulant was very strange, and since ancient times, too many cultivators had died to it. Once the origin soul and soul were forced out, the body would collapse to the sound of the drum. The soul and origin soul would then dissipate to the sound of the drum. The fog sword was silent, but the killing intent surged like black smoke as it charged toward Wang Lin. Over the countless years, countless cultivators had fallen to this sword, and had the connection between their soul and their body severed. Now this sword appeared once more and chopped down on Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't know that most cultivators who had passed the three internal arcane tribulants had prepared for a long time before they dared to attempt them. They all went through one at a time as they carefully searched for the slim chance of survival. At this moment, the sound of the drum limited Wang Lin's body, but it could not stop Wang Lin's heartbeat. He didn't know how others countered this arcane tribulant, but he had his own method. His heartbeat accelerated and echoed like thunder. The sound of his heartbeat countered the sound of the drum, and he immediately regained the power to move. The moment he was able to move again, the fog sword was closing in. Wang Lin calmly let go of the wine jug in his right hand. He raised his right palm and the bone-like Xian blade suddenly appeared. The blade gave off a cold aura, as if it came from the depths of hell. Good come. Wang Lin smiled and didn't even get up. He held up the Xian blade and swept at the incoming fog sword. The sword and blade instantly collided, causing thunderous rumbles to echo. The fog sword trembled violently, then countless cracks appeared on it and it collapsed. The killing intent from the sword seemed unwilling to back down and rushed forward to devour Wang Lin. At this moment, a killing intent far more powerful than the killing intent from the fog sword erupted from Wang Lin's body. It instantly devoured the killing intent from the fog sword and rushed into the sky. This killing intent seemed to have spirit, as it collapsed and retreated as if it didn't dare to face Wang Lin's killing intent. It then quickly dissipated. The first of the three internal arcane tribulants collapsed. As the killing intent scattered, the second shocking beat came from the drum in the sky. This sound was several times more intense than the one before, and it caused sound waves to spread out. It was like a war drum launching the sound to destroy the world. The moment the sound rang out, Wang Lin's body stood up for the first time. His left hand grabbed the wine jug he had released and he drank a mouthful. Then he charged into the sky. I'll destroy this drum. Let's see what else the arcane tribulants have left after that. Wang Lin jumped off the scorpion temple and charged at the drum in the sky. The Xian blade in his hand gave off a cold aura. This cold aura seemed to be able to freeze anything and shouldn't be allowed to exist. The sound of the drum echoed, and as it echoed in Wang Lin's bones, countless shadows came out of the ripples created by the drum. Every single shadow wore red armor like blood celestial soldiers. Thousands of them appeared. and they charged at Wang Lin with powerful killing intent. This was the second of the 3 internal arcane tribulants, the Blood Shadow Tribulant. The blood shadows formed by this tribulant were no weaker than arcane void cultivators and would not die. Even if they were destroyed, they could be born from the ripples once more. This endless cycle became a nightmare to anyone going through this tribulant. Most importantly, every time one of the shadows died, their strength would increase slightly. If it was delayed too long, they would be able to erase the cultivator going through the tribulant. Ordinarily, cultivators rarely faced these 3 internal arcane tribulants back to back. Most people would exit by force once they passed the first internal arcane tribulant. Then, after they had prepared sufficiently, they would come to try the Blood Shadow Tribulant. The terrifying part of this tribulant was that it couldn't be destroyed. Therefore, not many could pass it. Wang Lin didn't know how others had passed the Blood Shadow Tribulant, but he had his own method. As the thousands of blood shadows closed in, Wang Lin floated in the sky and a monstrous golden light shined from his eyes. Under this golden light, Wang Lin's gaze gave off a powerful suppression force. This came from the fragment of the sword the green-robed old man had fused into his eyes. Even the scorpion soul had been suppressed by this gaze, so there was no need to talk about the blood shadows. Wang Lin's gaze swept through the sky. All the blood shadows hit by gaze trembled and no longer dared to move. They revealed fear and felt as if heaven itself had descended upon them. The invisible pressure made it feel like they would be ruthlessly destroyed if they took even half a step forward. After his gaze swept by them, his cold voice echoed, "Scram!" His voice wasn't loud, but when it landed in the bodies of the thousands of blood shadows, it was like the might of the heavens. Their bodies trembled and the subconsciously retrated. They were illusions formed by the 3 internal arcane tribulants, so they didn't have much intelligence, but felt instinctive fear toward Wang Lin's gaze. They retreated thousands of feet and disappeared back into the ripples. People used various methods to pass this tribulant, but there had never been anyone who was able to do nothing but still scare the blood shadows to the point where they wouldn't even dare to step forward. As the blood shadows disappeared, Wang Lin rushed into the sky toward the giant drum. The drum was about to release the 3rd beat. However, because it could be hit, Wang Lin closed in and raised the Yin blade. He chopped down on the giant drum. With this chop, Wang Lin's 5-element true body and overlapping shadows appeared. They raised their right hands and the Yin blade appeared. 3 strikes followed Wang Lin's attack. When Wang Lin's Yin blade hit the drum, the 3rd beat rang out. However, it was completely covered by the howl of the Yin blade and the rumble of the collision, so it couldn't be heard at all. The 3 blades from Wang Lin's 5-element true body landed on the drum. From afar, it looked like 4 heaven-splitting blades had chopped down on the giant drum. Endless rumbles echoed as cracks appeared on the drum and it collapsed. The drum scattered into countless pieces, creating a powerful storm. The 3rd internal arcane tribulant hadn't even appeared when Wang Lin destroyed the root of the 3 internal arcane tribulants. After passing through 6 arcane tribulants, Wang Lin's expression became more serious and he was no longer as carefree as before. These 3 internal arcane tribulants were much more powerful than the previous 3. Wang Lin had to use the suppression eyes and the Yin blade for these. According to his analysis, the last 3 tribulants would be far more powerful than the 3 internal arcane tribulants. They were the gap that blocked cultivators from reaching the void tribulant stage. Wang Lin landed on the tail of the scorpion and the Yin blade slowly retracted into his hand. He looked at the sky and waited for the last 3 arcane tribulants to arrive. The green-robed old man had not only given Wang Lin the suppression eyes and the Yin blade, but also the celestial vein formed by the hair of the celestial ancestor. This vein allowed Wang Lin to fuse celestial energy and ancient energy to a certain degree. That strand of hair contained dense celestial energy and could become Wang Lin's celestial bloodline. Although this hair couldn't perfectly make Wang Lin's celestial energy and ancient energy fuse, it had a certain effect. At least extremely pure celestial energy could flow through the vein formed by this strand of hair. This celestial energy would allow Wang Lin to use a treasure that made him almost invisible in the cave world. This treasure could threaten real early-stage void tribulant cultivators. At this moment, Wang Lin silently pondered as he looked at the sky, and he remained motionless. The sky became dark and the clouds scattered, but a moment later, a ghostly light came from the sky. This ghostly light contained a strange feeling, and it soon gathered to form a giant seal. This seal looked like a ghostly face, but it gave off the aura of the law of the world. It was as if its existence was part of how the world functioned. Wang Lin's pupils shrank as he stared at the seal. When the seal appeared, it gave him a looming sense of crisis, but he didn't know how this crisis would reveal itself. This is the seventh tribulant. Wang Lin frowned and let out a cold snort. He was about to wave his hand to scatter this tribulant, but his expression changed. He sensed that something was wrong with his origin soul. His origin soul was originally very powerful and was sitting inside his body, but at this moment it showed signs of withering. In one breath of time, his origin soul had withered rapidly. At this speed, it would only need 7 breaths for Wang Lin's origin soul to dissipate and for him to die. This sudden change shook Wang Lin's heart, and for the first time, he profoundly understood the terror of the arcane tribulance. If he wanted to delay the withering of his origin soul, he would have to devour a large amount of power of the world. Time was of the essence as Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he opened his mouth to inhale. The power of the world around him moved, but he could not devour it. The surrounding area was shrouded by the mysterious force from the arcane tribulant. Others could not enter, and not even the power of the world could enter. The second breath arrived and Wang Lin's origin soul withered even faster. What a good 7th tribulant! Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and charged at the seal in the sky. He raised his right hand and threw a punch as he closed in. With this punch, the ancient Dao shadow appeared behind Wang Lin and also threw a punch. However, this punch went through the seal and didn't damage it at all. The seal seemed to be only an illusion. It could be seen but not touched. With this punch, the third breath arrived and Wang Lin's origin soul withered once more. It had already withered down to almost half of its original size. Wang Lin's expression immediately became gloomy. This 7th tribulant was the first of the 3 soul tribulants. This tribulant was called the 10-breath soul withering tribulant. Many cultivators had died to this tribulant throughout the countless years. Their origin souls withered after 7 breath, leading to their death. This tribulant was very strange in that it killed silently, which also made it extremely terrifying. The seal in the sky was the key, but it couldn't be destroyed. It would remain there until the cultivator died. Then it would dissipate. Wang Lin stared at the seal in the sky and thoughts flashed through his mind. I underestimated this arcane tribulant. This tribulant is very interesting. It is withering my origin soul, and all the power of the world has been sealed, so I can't absorb it to replenish. This is the only way. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He couldn't absorb the power of the world within the area, but there was another extremely pure power of the world here. It was the scorpion soul. Without hesitation, Wang Lin moved when the 4th breath arrived. He raised his hand and pressed it down on the scorpion temple. The scorpion temple trembled. Wang Lin's hand seemed to contain a powerful suction force, and a miserable scream came from the temple. When the 5th breath arrived, a soul fog scattered from the temple and rushed toward Wang Lin's hands. It turned into power of the world and was absorbed into his body. The scorpion soul had been cut into 6 pieces by Wang Lin. He had absorbed 4 of them to reach the arcane void stage, while the last 2 pieces were hiding inside the scorpion temple. Normally, it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to find, but along with the increase in his cultivation level and having absorbed the 4 pieces before, he had a connection with the scorpion. With this connection, he easily found the remaining 2 pieces of the scorpion soul and pulled them out. The scorpion soul was composed of dense power of the world. When Wang Lin absorbed it, his origin soul rapidly recovered. The 6th breath arrived and Wang Lin's origin soul withered once more. However, with the power from the scorpion soul, it reached a balance. However, this wouldn't last for too long, and as time passed it would collapse. Unless Wang Lin could find even more power of the world to replenish his body. Most cultivators survive this tribulant by devouring pills and other things to resist this withering by force. If they could survive the first 7 breaths, they would only need to endure 3 more after to complete the 10 breaths of this tribulant. However, the last 3 breaths were even more terrifying than the previous 7. Even the most rich cultivators would find it difficult to survive. This was because the withering was much faster than the digestion of pills. Before they could even absorb enough form the pills, their origin soul would wither to nothing. Therefore, the quality of the pill was very important. Even with the best pill, surviving this turbulent was very difficult. A better pill would mostly provide one with a bit more confidence. This turbulent put the cultivator in a very passive state. They could do nothing but endure. Since ancient times, everyone could only endure it. Even Grand Empyreans did this. They could only endure this turbulent with large amounts of pills and the fear in their hearts. Even the two Grand Empyreans who passed through 9 arcane turbulents in a row had endured it. Once 10 breaths passed, this turbulent would dissipate on its own. When the 7th breath ruthlessly arrived, the balance in his origin soul collapsed. His origin soul rapidly withered, but his expression didn't change. During the time he managed to stall, he rapidly thought of a way to break this turbulent. If I want to endure it, then I must quickly find where the true soul of the Green Devil Scorpion is suppressed. With the true soul of the Green Devil Scorpion, it should be easy to pass this turbulent. But it will not be easy to absorb the suppressed true soul, and it would require time. I just don't know how long. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Turbulent is also a fortune. I still believe this. Although it is strange, it is only a turbulent after all. To wither my origin soul. I want to see if the withering force of this turbulent is stronger than my faith. Wang Lin raised his head and his eyes released a powerful light of faith. With Wang Lin's wisdom, he saw through the key of passing this turbulent and knew how others had survived it. This method was extremely passive, allowing themselves to be controlled by the turbulent and survive like a dog. Wang Lin didn't want this kind of choice. I have enough faith. My origin soul also contains my faith. I want to see how this turbulent will destroy me with this faith. Wang Lin looked at the seal in the sky with determination. He had faced divine retribution many times in his life, and no longer felt any awe toward it. He only felt the determination to rise above the heavens. When the 8th breath arrived, Wang Lin raised his head and his origin soul rapidly withered until only a trace remained. However, this trace contained his faith to never give up and his determination to revive Li Muan. This sliver of origin soul could not wither in the 8th breath. It continued to exist just like Wang Lin's determination. I believe my origin soul is immortal. I believe my existence is inextinguishable. I believe my life is in my own hands. The 9th breath passed and his body trembled, but his expression didn't change. The 9th breath carried with it the power to wither his entire origin soul and destroy him. However, that trace of origin soul containing his faith remained after the 9th breath passed. This was no longer an origin soul but the power of faith. The heavens and earth could erase all origin souls, but they could not destroy one's faith. If no faith remained, then that person's life would be at the hands of the heavens and earth. They could complain to the heavens, but in the end it was their own doing, because they had given up their faith. But Wang Lin hadn't. His faith was like a raging fire. He looked at the seal in the sky with a gaze that could shock the heavens. I believe this turbulent will disappear. I believe I can revive Wan Air. I believe I can step onto the peak of the world. Wang Lin roared at the sky, and his faith was heaven-shattering. The 10th breath descended with the power to destroy Wang Lin's faith. It was like an angry wave rushing to destroy his faith. But in the end, even after the 10th breath passed, Wang Lin's origin soul containing his faith still existed. Not only did it remain, but it suddenly erupted. The might of the heavens and earth can destroy my body, destroy my origin soul, destroy my soul, but it can't destroy my faith. Wang Lin roared and stepped into the sky. Compared to the world, he was like an ant, but he had an aura that could change the world erupting from this body. He charged at the seal in the sky, and when he got close, he raised his hand to rip the illusionary seal. With this, the illusionary seal took the impact of Wang Lin's faith and showed signs of becoming solid. Under Wang Lin's tearing, it suddenly collapsed. The moment the seal collapsed, Wang Lin's withered origin soul instantly recovered. In a flash, it reached a peak and became bigger once more. The 7th turbulent, the 10-breath soul withering turbulent, collapsed before Wang Lin. The moment the 7th turbulent collapsed, the world changed greatly. As light shined, the 2nd seal appeared in the sky. The 2nd seal was completely different from the one before. It was even more complex and gave off an endlessly ancient aura. The moment the seal appeared, the 8th turbulent, the Life-Soul Tribulent appeared. The 10-breath Life-Soul Tribulent, the second of the Soul Arcane Tribulents, didn't damage the origin soul but lowered the lifespan of the origin soul. This tribulent would turn into the flow of time. A cultivator's lifespan was not endless, and they would eventually reach the end, just like the soul. The soul life tribulent lasted just a moment, but this moment could be millions of years or only hundreds of years. When the soul returned, the soul would die. 1,000,000 years in an instant. This tribulent is much more bizarre than the previous. It was not meant to kill the cultivator. Its purpose was to make the cultivator sacrifice lifespan willingly. This tribulent was closely related to the 9th tribulent. If someone could offer 100,000 years of lifespan, then the 9th tribulent will be extremely simple and one could easily pass it. However, very few people at the Arcane Void stage had more than 100,000 years of lifespan left. Unless one had great fortunes, it was impossible. But if one didn't sacrifice the lifespan, then the odds of surviving the 9th tribulent were only 10%. In the 8th tribulent, the cultivator had the initiative to decide for themselves how much lifespan to sacrifice. Generally, those that dared to enter the 8th tribulent had their own plans. They would calculate how much lifespan they needed to cultivate, and then would painfully sacrifice the rest to increase their chance of passing the 9th tribulent. Your lifespan wouldn't increase after entering Void Tribulent, unless you became a Grand Empyrean. Otherwise, however much lifespan you had remaining after the sacrifice at the 8th tribulent was how much lifespan you would have left in the Void Tribulent stage. Unless you encountered another fortune, it could not be changed. Wang Lin looked at the second seal in the sky. After he saw the seal, some extra thoughts appeared in his mind. These thoughts allowed Wang Lin to instantly understand the 8th tribulent through some mysterious methods. After understanding the 8th tribulent, Wang Lin thought about a lot of things. He didn't know how the 7-colored celestial sovereign had passed this tribulent, but he likely had another fortunate encounter. He also understood that what he thought before was wrong. Many cultivators that he saw that were stuck in the Arcane Tribulent stage were mostly stopped at the 8th tribulent. This tribulent didn't need to be passed. As long as one sacrificed to it, then they could withdraw. Even sacrificing 1 year would complete the 8th tribulent. However, passing the 9th tribulent would be even more difficult. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time and then his eyes lit up. He charged at the seal in the sky and closed in. He pressed his hand toward the seal. I sacrifice 1 year. As his words echoed, his body trembled. It was very weak and almost indiscernible. The seal before him slowly dissipated. The 8th tribulent disappeared. The moment the 8th tribulent scattered, Wang Lin could choose to leave, but he didn't. He looked up at the sky, waiting for the last tribulent to appear. If he could pass the last tribulent, he would break through Arcane Void and become a Void Tribulent powerhouse. Wang Lin took a deep breath and revealed a solemn expression. He had passed 8 Arcane Tribulents in a row, and was going to face the 9th and final Arcane Tribulent. He raised his left hand and reached at the void. Golden light shined and the Li Guang Bao that hadn't appeared for a long time appeared in Wang Lin's left hand. His right hand pulled the bowstring back into a full moon and in a flash, the Li Guang arrow appeared. He raised his head and looked at the sky. Killing intent appeared in his eyes. The 5-element true body behind him also raised its hand and an illusory Li Guang Bao and arrow appeared. Thunder flashed between Wang Lin's eyebrows and his thunder essence true body containing a destructive aura appeared behind the 5-element true body. It raised its left hand and pulled back its right hand. An illusory Li Guang Bao and arrow appeared in its hands as well. When he only sacrificed 1 year of life to the 8th tribulent, he made up his mind. He wasn't going to pass the 8th tribulent, he was going to destroy it. No matter how powerful this tribulent was, he would not consider it because he was going to destroy it. Simply passing the tribulent 8 times was not enough. Simply resisting the last one would not fit his character. Wang Lin had a hatred for these calamities from the heavens that he didn't even understand himself. This hatred manifested during the many times he had to face them in his life. If one looked for the root of this hatred, it started back on planet Suzaku in the cave world, when he held Li Muwen as he let out a roar of anger and despair at the heavens. As Wang Lin pulled back the Li Guang Bao, celestial energy came from the vein formed by the hair of the celestial ancestor, and rushed into the Li Guangbo. It caused the bao to shine brightly, and the golden light shrouded Wang Lin's figure. The golden light seemed to turn into a golden dragon. It roared at the sky and seemed like it was going to charge into the sky to destroy the world. At the same time, blue, red, and yellow light came from the Li Guang Bao in the hand of his five-element essence true body. These three lights were the water, fire, and earth essences. The three different lights formed three different colored dragons. On Wang Lin's right, his thunder essence true body coldly stood there and thunder covered the Li Guang Bao in its hand. The thunder lit up the world and the fifth dragon appeared. The dragon that appeared was a thunder dragon covered in thunder, and it gave off a destructive aura. This aura suppressed the five-element true body and even Wang Lin's original body. From afar, this was an extremely shocking scene. 5 dragons that could devour the heavens roared. In the sky, the last seal appeared. This was the 9th arcane tribulent. This tribulent was named reincarnation, the last threshold preventing a cultivator from reaching the void tribulent stage. The moment the seal appeared, a powerful pressure that could change the world appeared. People would lose themselves inside the reincarnation cycle, unable to pull themselves out before they died. Tribulent destruction. Wang Lin let out a shocking roar. His voice penetrated the golden light around him and spread out in all directions. It entered the ears of all the Green Devil Continent cultivators that were shocked by everything they had just witnessed. Tribulent destruction. He went through 8 arcane tribulents in a row, and for the 9th arcane tribulent, he is not facing it, but rather destroying it. This kind of arrogant thing. This is something only Lord Green Devil could do. Their faces were pale and their hearts were shaken by those 2 words. Inside the golden light, Wang Lin's figure loosened the bowstring. The moment the bowstring was loosened, its dense celestial energy was rebounded onto the arrow. The arrow shot out with a thunderous howl. The arrow shot out after the howl. From afar, this was no longer an arrow, it was clearly a golden dragon. The howl was the roar of the dragon, and the golden arrow as the body of the dragon. The moment the arrow appeared, the world changed colors, the heavens retreated, and all living things were alarmed. The rising golden dragon carried an indescribable aura as it rushed into the sky. Behind it, Wang Lin's 5-element true body moved its right hand. A thunderous rumble echoed as blue, red, and yellow dragons followed the golden dragon into the sky. Not just one but a total of 4 dragons, for arrows shot into the sky. It wasn't only 4 but 5. Wang Lin's thunder essence true body on his right loosened its hand as well. A thunderous rumble that could destroy the world echoed as it loosened the bowstring. A thunder dragon rushed into the sky. This dragon contained the aura of destruction, the aura of restriction, and also the heavenly thunder that had fused together to form a power that could destroy all life. 5 dragons tearing the heavens. 5 arrows to seal the fate of the heavens. Wang Lin's golden arrow touched the 9th arcane tribulent's reincarnation seal, and erupted its full power. The seal trembled as if it was going to collapse. Shortly after, the 3 arrows of the 5 elements arrived. The thunderous rumble was still echoing when 3 thunderous bangs suddenly rang out. The seal in the sky immediately showed signs of collapse, and large amounts of cracks appeared on it. These arrows should have been invisible, but they contained Wang Lin's faith, his hatred of the heavens, and his belief in destroying the heavens. His faith made this attack infinitely close to the faith spell of a Grand Empyrean, so it was able to solidify from nothing. The last arrow was the thunder arrow that carried a destructive arrow. It was not an arrow, but an arrow-shaped thunderbolt. It rumbled loudly as it closed in on the reincarnation seal and erupted its destructive force. This arrow only gave off a trace of the slaughter thunder, but just this sliver was enough to shake the heavens. The reincarnation seal trembled and suddenly collapsed into countless pieces that scattered everywhere. The sky seemed to collapse along with it. What collapsed with it was the Scorpion Temple under Wang Lin. The temple seemed to be unable to withstand such vibrations, and it collapsed into countless pieces that scattered in all directions. The Green Devil Scorpion Temple disintegrated. As it collapsed, the dust rushed into the air and hid Wang Lin's figure. A void tribulent aura that caused the world to tremble came from within the dust clouds. This void tribulent aura was extremely powerful and formed a vortex. This vortex caught the collapsing sky, collapsing earth, and the destructive force of the arcane tribulent. This vortex was at the centermost part of the Green Devil continent, where the Green Devil Scorpion Temple was. The more than a dozen Green Devil continent cultivators all revealed looks of awe. When the pressure from the arcane void dissipated, they quickly closed in. "Greetings, Lord Green Devil. Congratulations on your resurrection, Lord Green Devil." The Green Devil continent cultivators were all extremely respectful as they bowed toward the collapsed Scorpion Temple now that the arcane turbulent pressure had disappeared. The void turbulent aura inside the storm was extremely strong as it raged. As the aura scattered, the world changed colors. It was as if heaven itself was avoiding it. Inside the storm there was a looming figure. This figure was slender and his long hair fluttered in the storm. The appearance of the figure couldn't be seen, but he released a powerful void turbulent aura. Although it was only the pressure of early-stage void turbulent cultivator, it caused the hearts of all the cultivators present to tremble. It was as if they weren't facing an early-stage void turbulent cultivator, but someone at the peak of void turbulent. The figure in the storm slowly walked out after a long time and slowly became clear. Wang Lin calmly looked at the sky. He felt that after he destroyed the 9th arcane turbulent, a barrier that had been suppressing his cultivation was destroyed. This allowed his cultivation level to grow until he reached void turbulent. Void turbulent. Wang Lin closed his eyes. In his body there was a giant vortex that was rapidly rotating. This vortex gave off a terrifying aura. And with this aura, Wang Lin felt like he only needed to open his palm to hold the world. It was a wonderful feeling. A moment later, as the storm disappeared behind him, he suddenly opened his eyes. He clenched his right hand. A popping sound echoed in his grasp. A terrifying power beyond early-stage void turbulent gathered in his hand. As he clenched his right hand, the earth below him rumbled and countless cracks spread. The pressure of his void turbulent cultivation suddenly spread out. The Green Devil continent cultivators immediately retreated and looked at Wang Lin suspiciously. They didn't feel the aura of the Green Devil Scorpion coming from Wang Lin. At this moment their expressions all changed. The feeling of void turbulent. Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at his hand. When he was about to leave, his expression suddenly changed. After reaching void turbulent, the heaven-defying bead in his body began moving at full force. Suction force was about to spread out from his body and reach into the ground below. For the first time, Wang Lin clearly felt a fluctuation of consciousness from the heaven-defying bead. This fluctuation was filled with a strong desire. This fluctuation was not something Wang Lin could clearly feel before he reached the void turbulent stage. After his cultivation level increased, the heaven-defying bead seemed very different from before. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. After pondering a bit, he raised his right hand and threw a punch at the earth below. As his fist fell, it turned into a palm and landed on the earth. Countless cracks appeared on the earth, and the surface of the earth scattered. A destructive force erupted and entered the earth. As the earth collapsed, a giant pit tens of thousands of feet large appeared. In the blink of an eye, it reached the depths of the earth. The bottom of the Scorpion Temple was where the Green Devil Scorpion was being suppressed. At this moment, Wang Lin collapsed the ground and forcibly opened a path to where the Scorpion soul was sealed. The moment the earth was blown open, a roar that caused the Green Devil continent cultivators to tremble came from the pit. This roar was extremely fierce and was filled with endless resentment. As the howl echoed, large amounts of green fog charged out of the deep pit. This fog was like a pillar that shot into the air and quickly formed a giant green scorpion in the sky. The scorpion was about 100 feet large, and the moment it appeared, it cast a large shadow on the earth below. When the Green Devil continent cultivators saw this, they revealed looks of horror. "Lord Green Devil! What has happened? The soul of Lord Green Devil has appeared. Then who is this person? Could it be that he isn't the resurrection of Lord Green Devil?" The Green Devil continent cultivators had doubts in their hearts. After seeing the green fog turn into the giant scorpion, an unbelievable thought surfaced in their minds. Wang Lin. He is the Heavenly Bull continent's Wang Lin. One of the cultivators from the Devil Dao sect said. More than 100 years ago, he was at the edge of the Green Devil continent and the Meng Earth continent and participated in the pursuit of Wang Lin. He had some hesitation in his heart, and at this moment, there was a rumble in his mind as he recognized Wang Lin. The Green Devil Scorpion soul that came from the deep pit let out a violent hiss, and its huge body flickered in the sky as it stared at Wang Lin. There were 4 seals on its body: head, tail, and front and back, emitting a suppression force. These 4 seals were made by the celestial ancestor to seal this soul and make it the power of the Green Devil continent. Wang Lin's body was extremely small before the green scorpion. However, he stood there with a cold gaze and gave off an aura that could suppress the scorpion's soul. His white hair was draped over his shoulders. As the scorpion's soul roared, he raised his hand and threw a punch. This punch contained Wang Lin's ancient Tao power and his void turbulent cultivation. It formed a heaven-shattering force that charged at the scorpion's soul. A thunderous rumble suddenly echoed, and the scorpion soul's body trembled and was pushed back as if it had been hit by a powerful wind. The scorpion soul looked like it was going to extinguish, but at this moment, the 4 seals flashed and offset the power of Wang Lin's punch. After being pushed back tens of thousands of feet, its body still remained. Roar! The scorpion soul's body trembled and charged toward Wang Lin once more. At this moment, a dark and gloomy divine sense echoed. All Green Devil continent cultivators, kill this person. The moment the divine sense spread out, the expressions of the more than a dozen Green Devil continent cultivators changed. They all looked at Wang Lin and rushed towards him. The celestial ancestor seal is still so powerful after so many years. This shows how powerful the celestial ancestor was back then. Wang Lin coldly looked at the scorpion soul closing in on him. The heaven-defying bead was operating at full speed and seemed to have reached its limit. The desire from it became even more intense. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he raised his right hand. He waved at the Green Devil scorpion and a flash of white light came from his hand. The heaven-defying bead appeared for the first time since he arrived on the immortal Asta continent. The moment the heaven-defying bead appeared, it released endless white light and lit up the area. The moment the scorpion soul saw the heaven-defying bead, it was startled for a moment, but immediately after, endless horror and fear filled its eyes. It let out a roar. Then its huge body stopped moving and retreated like crazy. White light. This is the white bead. Its look of fear and quickly retreat startled the cultivators that were charging in. Their gazes immediately gathered on the heaven-defying bead. Although the scorpion soul was retreating quickly, it was not as fast as the heaven-defying bead. The bead flew at an unimaginable speed and closed in on the giant scorpion soul. The 4 seals flickered as the bead penetrated them and directly entered the scorpion's soul. The moment it entered, a terrifying suction force came from the heaven-defying bead. The scorpion soul, which was hundreds of thousands of feet large, rapidly shrank before everyone's eyes. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. In 3 breaths of time, the huge scorpion soul shrank like crazy until it was completely absorbed by the heaven-defying bead, leaving only the 4 seals of the celestial ancestor. Without the scorpion soul to suppress, the seals turned gray and dissipated into the world. This sudden change almost made the surrounding cultivators lose their wits. To them, Wang Lin was like a nightmare. They all scattered and desperately used their spells to escape as quickly as possible. Wang Lin didn't chase after them but stood there, looking at the heaven-defying bead that had absorbed the scorpion soul. His eyes lit up and he raised his right hand and reached at the void. The heaven-defying bead immediately flew into Wang Lin's right palm. When Wang Lin grabbed the heaven-defying bead, his body trembled. He clearly felt that the heaven-defying bead had reached another level of completion and was going through a shocking change. After pondering a little, Wang Lin waved his left hand and a storm appeared around him. This storm was 1,000 kilometers wide and gave off a terrifying aura that stopped all life from entering. After setting up the protection, Wang Lin's divine sense rushed into the heaven-defying bead. He wanted to see what kind of change would happen to the heaven-defying bead after another completion. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense entered the heaven-defying bead, his vision became blurry. When he regained his vision, he was in an endless void, and there was a huge gate that seemed to connect the heavens and earth here. There was a green arm on the door that gave off a destructive aura. Heaven-defying gate. The same gate and same arm. Wang Lin had seen them several times. Whenever the heaven-defying bead reached a completion, this gate would appear. However, whenever he went in, he saw nothing but the vastness of space. The green arm contained a powerful force that stopped anyone from entering. Wang Lin stood outside the gate once more. Looking at the gate and the green arm, he silently pondered. Before the scorpion soul died, he said, "White bead, what does it mean?" Wang Lin pondered for a long time. His eyes lit up and then he slowly walked toward the gate. As he closed in on the gate, the green arm suddenly moved and charged at Wang Lin with a powerful pressure. Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he didn't stop at all. He waved his right hand at the giant arm reaching toward him. The world trembled and the green arm was knocked hundreds of feet into the air by Wang Lin. The arm that made Wang Lin feel fear could not stop him at all after he reached the void turbulent stage. Wang Lin calmly walked toward the gate. His pace was not fast, but every step would cause thunderous rumbles to echo, as if his feet were going to break the void. When he was 7 steps from the gate, the green arm rushed toward Wang Lin once more. This time a terrifying aura came from the arm, as if it would not give up unless it stopped Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned. He didn't want to destroy this arm. He raised his head and pointed at the arm. "Stop!" The giant green arm stopped motionless in the air. Wang Lin calmly walked forward 7 steps forward and stood before the heaven-defying gate. He raised his left hand and pushed the gate open. With this push, the heaven-defying gate gave off a muffled rumble and a small gap opened. Although the gap seemed small, it was dozens of feet wide. After opening a gap, Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment before he stepped into the gate. He completely stepped into the heaven-defying gate. This time, what appeared before Wang Lin was a world he had never seen before. There was a heaven and earth but no signs of life. There was just a mountain range and a tower that pierced the heavens. The tower was not solid but flickered between real and an illusionary. This place was not the same as what he saw when he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. This world was completely different from last time. It was as if everything before was just a fog, but now the fog was removed, allowing Wang Lin to get infinitely close to the real secret of the heaven-defying bead. Looking at the mysterious tower from afar, Wang Lin slowly walked forward. The mountain range slowly became an illusion and scattered before Wang Lin, allowing him to arrive before long. This tower was square and very thin. There were 4 skeletons sitting at the 4 corners. These 4 skeletons had existed for an unknown amount of time. 2 of them wore black robes and the other 2 wore white. They sat there motionlessly and gave off waves of death aura. Wang Lin's gaze swept past the 4 skeletons. He looked at the 4 towers with confusion in his eyes. What was the heaven-defying bead? This problem had been with him for more than 2,000 years, almost 3,000 years now. He had fumbled through the heaven-defying gate several times, but only this time did he see the tower and the 4 skeletons under it. This tower had no door. Standing outside the tower, the confusion in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. After a long time, his divine sense spread out toward the tower. The moment his divine sense touched the tower, a thunderous rumble echoed in his mind. Countless subtle sounds appeared in his mind, and because there were too many different sounds, it was extremely chaotic and he couldn't hear anything clearly. He vaguely heard the cry of a baby being born, the sigh of an old man dying, and lot of chaotic sounds. These cries and gentle murmurs made Wang Lin feel like he was inside a large mortal city, hearing all the sounds in the city at once. In the end, the endless sound turned into a buzz that echoed in Wang Lin's heart and ears. Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale. Even with his current cultivation level, he showed signs of not being able to bear it. It was as if his entire body would collapse if he continued. Just as he was about to collapse, a sharp cry of a baby echoed in Wang Lin's heart. This woke him up, making him to retreat more than 10 steps. His face was deathly pale. His mind trembled. He looked at the tower once more before he turned and flew off into the distance. A moment later, based on his connection, he found the soul of Wang Ping and Wang Ping's wife. Seeing his own flesh and blood, Wang Lin silently pondered. The sharp baby cry that had awakened him was a voice he was familiar with. It was when Wang Ping was still a resentful soul. It was the first sound he had heard from Wang Ping. That tower, what exactly is it? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion for a long time. He looked at the soul of his own flesh and blood and his eyes became soft and sad. He let out a sigh and left. He came to the mysterious space a second time in front of the square tower. Looking up, he looked at the tower flickering between real and an illusion. The top of the tower was a blur. A moment later, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and took a few steps forward as his divine sense spread out. This time his right fingernail extended like a sharp needle deep into his palm, but there was a layer of soft light that prevented it from piercing his flesh. However, this soft light was rapidly dissipating. At this moment, it would only take 10 breaths for the light to disappear completely. Then Wang Lin's sharp nail would pierce his flesh and send out intense pain. Time was of the essence. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to spread out his divine sense toward the tower. The moment his divine sense touched the tower, that mix of sounds entered Wang Lin's mind again. Wang Lin's body trembled and he felt like he had lost his mind. He was surrounded by that sound, making him like a lonely boat in the angry sea. The sounds were endless and they all mixed to form a buzzing sound. They echoed in Wang Lin's heart and he could not hear them clearly. Time slowly passed and Wang Lin's face became even more pale. His eyes were soulless. As his body trembled, the white light in his right hand gradually dissipated until the 9th breath, when the white light completely disappeared. The sharp nail pierced his palm and blood dripped down as pain spread through his body. Under this sudden pain, Wang Lin struggled and then suddenly became sober. The moment he became sober, he seemed to hear a voice looming among the mix of sounds, and it became clear for a moment. Missing one. When he heard this, Wang Lin retreated more than 1,000 feet. During those short 10 breaths, he had experienced a life-or-death crisis. If not for the baby's cry the first time and his preparation the second time, he would have lost himself in that noise. Staring at the tower, Wang Lin revealed a rare sense of dread. Even now, he still didn't understand what the tower that appeared inside the heaven-defying bead was, and what the voice he heard the moment he became sober. Missing one. What does it mean? Wang Lin silently pondered. A moment later, he looked at the tower and then left. On the Green Devil continent, where the Scorpion Temple was, the area was now covered by a storm. A white-haired young man was standing there, and his closed eyes suddenly opened. The moment his eyes opened, there was still deep dread in them. Wang Lin took a deep breath and looked at the heaven-defying bead that was fusing into his palm. He had a complicated expression. You. What exactly are you? As Wang Lin muttered, the heaven-defying bead disappeared into his body. It remained invisible inside his soul. My divine sense is still not strong enough. Far from enough. One day, I'll be able to suppress the noise and hear the hidden words to learn the deepest secret of the heaven-defying bead. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he suppressed his confusion about the heaven-defying bead. He had the bead for nearly 3,000 years, and he had the patience to keep waiting to unlock all the answers. He had a faint feeling that because he could see the tower, he was very close to the secret of the bead. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a cold gaze and looked into the distance. That was the direction of the Devil Dao sect. Devil Dao sect. Back then, I made a promise to destroy the entire Devil Dao sect and its Dao, to make it so that there will no longer be a Devil Dao sect on the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and the storm around him rotated even faster, forming a black tornado. It carried Wang Lin into the distance. The Devil Dao sect's calamity had arrived. The Devil Dao sect was in the northwest part of the Green Devil continent and was built on a swamp. It was one of the 9 sects and 13 factions of the eastern continent, which meant they had the power of a peak late-stage void turbulent cultivator. Only with this kind of strength could a sect become famous on such a landmass as the eastern continent. On the immortal astral continent, anyone who had stepped into the void turbulent stage could be considered an exalt. Even late-stage void turbulent cultivators were considered exalts. Only those that were infinitely close to peak void turbulent but weren't able to cross the gap could be called golden exalts. If one could break through into peak void turbulent, then they would become a false Empyrean exalt or just be called Empyrean exalt. Even Grand Empyreans paid attention to these cultivators. Not only would the Grand Empyreans be courteous, they would also spend a lot of effort to pull them to their side. After all, Empyrean exalts were the strongest people under Grand Empyrean. There were conflicts between Grand Empyreans, but they wouldn't act personally. After all, if they were to fight, the consequence would be too heavy. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Grand Empyreans wouldn't fight each other. Back then, Dao Yi and Xian Luo were battling over territory. However, neither of them could do much to the other. As a result, Conflicts between Grand Empyreans depended on the number and the power of the Empyrean exalts under them. It can be said that an Empyrean exalt could obtain unimaginable glory and status on the immortal astral continent. They would obtain the attention and care of a Grand Empyrean. Rumor had it that the reason Empyrean exalts were called false Empyrean exalts was because there was another layer between Empyrean exalt and Grand Empyrean. This realm was called Ascendant Empyrean. Cultivators at this level had exceeded peak void turbulent and were extremely rare even under Grand Empyreans. Since ancient times, not many cultivators could reach Empyrean exalt. Even fewer were able to ascend past Empyrean exalt and reach Ascendant Empyrean. Rumor has it that the Great Soul Sect's Luo Yunhai was an Ascendant Empyrean, and that's why he dared to challenge Grand Empyrean Dao Yi. However, this person was simply too arrogant, and there was some unknown conflict between them that forced Grand Empyrean Dao Yi to kill him. However, Grand Empyrean Dao Yi allowed his soul to return to the Great Soul Sect before Grand Empyrean Dao Yi admired his talent. Since the birth of the Heavenly Bull continent, outsiders only knew of this one Ascendant Empyrean that had appeared there. Golden Exalt, Empyrean Exalt, Ascendant Empyrean, Grand Empyrean. For different titles represented 4 different peaks of power. The Great Soul Sect had Old Ancestor Green Bull, and an Ascendant Empyrean called Luo Yunhai, who had dared to challenge a Grand Empyrean. Although this was a long time ago, his fame still existed today. Esteemed Green Bull was a Golden Exalt and he had an essence true body. Along with the Great Soul Sect's mysterious spells, the Great Soul Sect was one of the 9 sects and 13 factions, and they were ranked high up. As for the Guei sect, they had no Golden Exalt. Even the sect master was only a late-stage void turbulent cultivator. There was a heavenly gap that he couldn't cross between him and a peak late-stage void turbulent cultivator. Although that was the case, the Guei sect had more than 5 people at the late stage of void turbulent, and they held important positions. The sect had also inherited a famous suit of ancient armor. A late-stage void turbulent exalt wearing this armor could increase their power greatly. If they were to sacrifice life force, they could that release power to battle against a golden exalt. It was the existence of this armor that put the sect in an awkward position. Due to the fact that life force needed to be sacrificed, the armor couldn't be worn more than 3 times. After 3 uses, one would die. However, the Guei sect had 5 people who could wear the armor, which made them qualified to become one of the 9 sects and 13 factions. As for the Devil Dao sect, their sect master was a peak late-stage void turbulent golden exalt. His powerful cultivation made him famous across the eastern continent. However, compared to esteemed Green Bull, although both were golden exalts, esteemed Green Bull had his essence true body, so the Devil Dao sect's sect master was not his match. However, the Devil Dao sect was not weak among the 9 sects and 13 factions. Aside from the Golden Exalt sect master, they had 4 void turbulent exalts, but most importantly, they still had an ancestor outside the sect. The Devil Dao sect's ancestor was an Empyrean exalt. He didn't care about the sect and didn't worship the Green Devil Scorpion Temple. He only cared about his own cultivation, and 13,000 years ago, he was recruited by Grand Empyrean Dao Yi. With an ancestor like this, the Devil Dao sect had become famous across the eastern continent and held the leadership position in the Green Devil continent. However, this ancestor's loyalty to the Devil Dao sect had weakened greatly as his cultivation level increased. He wouldn't care about small battles and it didn't matter how many people died, as long as their Dao root remained. But if someone wanted to destroy the Devil Dao sect's Dao root, then for his own face, he would pursue this matter. All of this was recorded on the tortoise shell map Old Ancestor Green Bull had given Wang Lin. In the eastern continent, there are only 7 Empyrean exalts remaining. I wonder, with my current cultivation level, what cultivation level will I reach if I use the Heavenly Bull soul armor? As the storm swept forward, Wang Lin stood there with his hands behind his back and his eyes shining. I can ignore golden exalts, Empyrean exalts. I haven't battled any, but I really want to. Wang Lin's white hair fluttered. He waved his sleeve and his clothes covered his head. From afar, Wang Lin seemed to be wearing a white robe that covered his face and even his white hair. He gave off a mysterious and ancient aura. The Devil Dao sect was covered in a massive fog that made it impossible to see inside. The Devil Dao sect used to have more than 100,000 disciples. However, after more than 100 years of war, there were only 30,000 people left, but their power hadn't decreased much. The 4 late-stage void turbulent cultivators were still alive. 2 were in the Heavenly Bull continent, managing the battlefield, while 2 remained guarding the sect. The Devil Dao sect's sect master had gone into closed-door cultivation more than 100 years ago. He seemed to be attempting to reach Empyrean Exalt and still hadn't come out. Due to the Devil Dao sect missing many cultivators, the sect formation was still active in order to protect the sect and prevent any accidents. The entire Devil Dao sect was inside this fog, and it was built upon a large swamp. They had brought mountains to fill in the swamp to create these celestial mountains. They had turned the stones they obtained into slabs and placed them on the swamp so the disciples could walk on the swamp like flat ground. The Devil Dao sect was very large. From afar it was impossible to see the edge. The mountains and pavilions formed an array that surrounded the core of the sect. The center of the sect was not a swamp, but a lake. The lake was very clear, enough to see the bottom. There were ripples inside the lake as if a celestial beast lived inside. There was a small island at the center of the lake. That was the place the Devil Dao sect's sect master would go for closed-door cultivation, and where the sect stored their spells. Outside the Devil Dao sect, Wang Lin calmly stood in the sky outside the fog. The white robe around him covered his face but could not cover the coldness in his eyes. He stared at the Devil Dao sect, and the coldness in his eyes turned into killing intent. It has been a long time since I destroyed the Dao root of a sect and wiped out an entire sect, Wang Lin muttered. Although Wang Lin had spent his life in slaughter, he didn't like slaughter. In fact, as his cultivation level increased, unless he was forced to, or was put into a life or death situation, he rarely killed. However, he was filled with killing intent right now. First, at the border of the Meng Earth continent, the entire Devil Dao sect had gone to stop Wang Lin from peacefully leaving. They all charged at him as if they were crazy. While they hunted him, they threw out those heads. Although Wang Lin felt no connection to those heads, they were cultivators that had fought alongside at him the extreme sky prairie. They had died because of Wang Lin, seeing how the Devil Dao sect had thrown their heads at him. Wang Lin closed his eyes. He could see the miserable expressions and eyes filled with despair from those heads. And he heard that vicious voice echoing, "Don't you like human heads? This is the first gift my Dao Devil sect is giving you. I like human heads. I indeed like them." Wang Lin opened his eyes, and they were filled with monstrous killing intent, being captured by the Devil Dao sect's sect master, and the suffering he had experienced in the Scorpion Temple couldn't be repaid by killing one person. Since the entire Devil Dao sect came to stop him back then, he would destroy the entire Devil Dao sect today. No matter what cultivation level, no one can escape. If you want to blame anything, blame that you are part of the Devil Dao sect. Wang Lin had a monstrous killing intent, but he didn't casually reveal it. However, when he did, the killing intent was heaven-shattering. He raised his right hand and waved at the Devil Dao sect in the distance. A sea of fire appeared and turned into 99 fire dragons. They circled the Devil Dao sect and completely sealed it. Shortly after, thunder appeared, forming a net. It entered the seal of fire to form a tight barrier. After the thunder, a large amount of restrictions appeared, causing the thunder and fire to fuse together to form a powerful seal and suppression. After doing all of this, Wang Lin raised his head and walked toward the Devil Dao sect. Each of his steps caused a thunderous rumble to echo across the world. A monstrous killing intent came from Wang Lin's body and closed in on the Devil Dao sect. Wang Lin's actions looked very flashy, but with his current power, he silently finished it all in an instant. At this moment he calmly walked toward the fog and without any pause walked into the formation. The moment he entered the formation, a thunderous rumble echoed through the world and into the Devil Dao sect. Most of the more than 30,000 cultivators were in cultivation. When the thunderous rumble echoed, their expressions changed greatly. They quickly flew out and looked at the sky. The fog in the sky was rumbling violently, and there seemed to be 18 shadows surrounding one person. As they attacked, thunderous rumbles echoed. Enemy attack! All third-step cultivators set formation. An anxious voice came from a mountain in the northern part of the sect. Soon a red cloud closed in, and there was a red-robed middle-aged man inside. When he appeared, He immediately waved his sleeves. The red clouds around him flew into the fog in the sky. At the same time, dozens of rays of light flew out from the Devil Dao sect. Every ray of light was a third-step cultivator. There were men and women among them, and they all had serious expressions. After they appeared, they entered the fog to preside over the formation and prevent outsiders from entering. Shortly after, a ray of golden light came from the southern part of the Devil Dao sect. The golden light turned into an old man beside the red-robed man. He looked at the sky gloomily and his eyes revealed a cold gaze. "You dare to break into my Devil Dao sect protection formation? This old man wants to see who dares to be so bold." With that he charged into the fog in the sky. In the fog, Wang Lin was covered in his white robe and slowly walked forward. Before him, 18 figures roared and rushed towards him. They each gave off a terrifying aura. As the 18 shadows closed in, Wang Lin revealed a cold gaze under the robe. He raised his right hand and waved. Wang Lin calmly said, "Heaven ripping." The moment his words echoed, the clear sky above the Devil Dao sect released a thunderous rumble. As the thunderous rumble echoed, a large rift appeared in the sky. 2 giant arms tore open the rift and reached out. These 2 arms were very large, as if several mountains had fused together to form them. After the arms came out of the rift, they reached toward the fog surrounding the Devil Dao sect. The fog originally wasn't solid, but after being grabbed by the 2 arms, the fog seemed to take solid form and was held in place. The moment the 2 giant arms grabbed the fog, they mercilessly ripped it apart. This caused a thunderous rumble to echo across the world. The fog was torn in half by the 2 giant arms above the Devil Dao sect. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The fog that was torn in half was pushed to the side by the giant arms. This allowed the residual sunlight to shine on the Devil Dao sect that no longer had any protection. This scene was witnessed by the more than 30,000 cultivators of the Devil Dao sect. They all stared at this dumbfoundedly. Their hearts were shaking and they were scared out of their wits. From the day the formation was created, it wasn't that no one had ever attacked it. It had been destroyed several times before, but it was never destroyed in such a shocking way that made everyone's scalps tingle. The moment the fog formation was torn apart by the arms, miserable screams came from the 2 groups of fog. The dozens of third-step cultivators that had entered the fog all rushed out and all coughed out blood. Some of their bodies directly exploded into piles of flesh and blood. It was obvious they couldn't withstand the power of those 2 giant arms. There was also the golden-robed old man that had charged into the fog. He also escaped from the fog in a sorry state. He looked at the sky with fear in his eyes. He knew how powerful the formation was. This formation was powerful enough to block the full power of a golden exalt, but at this moment it was so easily torn in half. The meaning of this scene caused the golden-robed old man to tremble. What is his cultivation level? As the scattered sunlight descended, there was a white-robed figure silently standing there. There was a cold gaze hidden under the robe that stared at the more than 30,000 shocked cultivators of the Devil Dao sect. The robed old man suppressed his trembling body and roared, "Who are you, sir? Why did you break into my Devil Dao sect and destroy our sect formation?" "My Devil Dao sect is one of the 9 sects and 13 factions of the Eastern continent, and we have an As Wang Lin tore open the Devil Dao sect's protection and raised the Yin blade. The war in the Heavenly Bull continent was reaching its peak. The war that had lasted more than 100 years had spread even further as time passed. Tens of millions of kilometers of area was engulfed in war. This war had affected most of the Heavenly Bull continent. A large amounts of Green Devil continent cultivators had crossed the empty Pill Sea and entered the Heavenly Bull continent under the leadership of third-step cultivators and even exalts. The many layers of protection of the Heavenly Bull continent had collapsed, and they had slaughtered into the core. The Green Devil continent cultivators had formed 2 armies and had surrounded the Guei sect and Great Soul sect for this final battle. 2 of the 3 golden exalt ancestors of the Green Devil continent were gathered outside the Great Soul sect. As for the Guei sect, there were many exalts leading the Green Devil continent cultivators on a slaughter. This battle had lasted for only 100 years, but its intensity was unprecedented. Countless cultivators from both continents had died. Third-step cultivators had fallen, exalts had fallen, and too many ordinary cultivators had fallen. However, during this war between the two continents, some nameless people shined like stars and became famous across both continents, or those already famous had become even more powerful in this war. On the Heavenly Bull continent side, Yunifeng was such a person. He had killed many Green Devil continent cultivators and reached a high cultivation level with the 8-blade soul slicer to make himself famous. Several months ago, he left the Scorpion Temple and returned to the Heavenly Bull continent to participate in this final battle. Aside from him, Tangjia and Edgecloud had also become famous due to the Heavenly Bull soul armor. Several people from the Great Soul Sect had risen as well and become the brightest lights beside the old ancestor. The Green Devil continent also had cultivators like this, like Void Cloud, who Wang Lin had killed twice. His original body was still in the Heavenly Bull continent, as Wang Lin had only killed his avatars. Void Cloud's sword cultivation was extraordinary and had caught the attention of everyone here. Under Void Cloud there were several more people, and along with the people who rose up in the Heavenly Bull continent, these less than 20 people were now the leaders of this war. It was as if the purpose of this battle was to highlight the glory of these less than 20 cultivators. This war continued to be carried out by the Great Soul Sect and the Guei Sect. The 16 cultivators from both sides released their full power as if the battlefield was a stage for them to perform on. Wang Lin was still inside the Devil Dao sect. Wang Lin didn't want to show himself, he just wanted revenge. But by doing this he was revealing his own light. If anyone was paying attention to the war between the two continents, they would definitely not ignore Wang Lin. What Wang Lin was doing was not something those 16 geniuses could compare to. He completely suppressed them. He leaped into the air and raised the Yin blade in his hand. Behind him, the 5-element True Body and the Thunder Essence True Body also raised their Yin blades and chopped down on the incoming golden-robed old man and the red-robed man. The 3 figures were brilliant under the sun and instantly closed in. 3 heaven-shattering roars replaced all sound in the world and absorbed the full attention of the 30,000 cultivators below. It was as if time had stopped at this moment. This battle would make Wang Lin famous on the immortal astral continent. This battle would make Wang Lin's name rise on the immortal astral continent. Fighting 2 void turbulent exalts alone was enough to shock anyone. They were true void turbulent exalts, and although they might have never become golden exalts, they were still terrifying void turbulent exalts that everyone looked up to. Any one of them was far more powerful than the 7-colored celestial sovereign. Any of them could have killed the 7-colored celestial sovereign as easily as taking something out of their pockets. Today, both of them were attacking at once, so how could this battle not shock everyone? The Yin blade swept down and instantly closed in on the golden-robed man. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the blade covered in Yin energy collided with the golden-robed old man. The golden-robed old man let out a shocking roar. His hands formed seals and then he threw out all his treasures. All of these treasures gave off powerful auras, and at the same time, he bit the tip of his tongue to spit out blood. He casted the strongest spell he had as a void turbulent cultivator, Golden Metal Dao. As he roared, a golden light surrounded him, forming a protective layer around him. He looked like a battle celestial that had to be respected. Great power, devil. A second roar came from the golden light. Black gas appeared and surrounded the golden light to form an even larger devil god. The devil god looked fierce and wore an armor made of black fog that gave off a destructive aura, as if it could destroy the world. It formed a fist which caused popping sounds to echo, and collided with Wang Lin's Yin blade. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Wang Lin's Yin blade collided with the devil god. Wang Lin's Yin blade contained his full cultivation, so it cut into the hand of the devil god like he was cutting through paper. There was no resistance as the blade cut through all treasures, through the arm of the devil god, and through the body of the devil god, landing on the golden body of the golden-robed old man. The golden light trembled and the old man inside coughed out a mouthful of blood. His face became pale and his eyes were filled with fear. The devil god around him was cut in half by Wang Lin's blade like it couldn't resist at all. The devil god collapsed and the golden light trembled. Wang Lin's 5-element true body closed in with its Yin blade and chopped down on the golden light around the old man. The golden light trembled and erupted with the sound of a mirror collapsing. The light shattered into countless pieces, revealing the golden-robed old man, who was filled with despair. The fear and horror in the golden-robed old man's eyes were replaced by a thunder-eam blade. Thunder rumbled as Wang Lin's thunder essence chopped down with its eam blade. With this chop, the thunder-eam blade moved at an unimaginable speed across the old man's neck. Blood sprayed out as the old man's head was cut off and his origin soul collapsed to the blade. A void turbulent exalt died like this. All of this happened too fast for the 30,000 Devil Dao sect members to react. The elder that they respected, who had heaven-piercing power, had his head cut off and body turned into a mist of blood. The moment the old man died, the red-robed man closed in. His face had turned pale and his pupils shrank. He was scared out of his wits and without hesitation, he retreated like crazy trying to leave. At this moment he didn't care about the Devil Dao sect. Nothing was more important than his own life. However, thinking about escaping now was too late. In truth, the moment Wang Lin ripped open the fog formation, escape was no longer an option for the cultivators here. Wang Lin turned and his eyes erupted a dazzling golden light. This golden light came from the fragment of the celestial ancestor's sword. The golden light shot straight toward the escaping red-robed man. Although this man was a void turbulent exalt, he was still going to be suppressed by Wang Lin's eyes. When his gaze swept past the red-robed man, the red-robed man's heart trembled as if a sword had pierced his heart. At this moment, Wang Lin raised his left hand and waved. The entire Devil Dao sect sky darkened. Then a giant palm appeared in the sky and smashed down toward the earth. This palm had 9 fingers. This scene caused the red-robed old man to let out a miserable scream. He retreated like crazy as he formed seal and used all his spells. At the same time, the 30,000 cultivators below scattered like crazy to leave the shadow of the palm print. However, the giant 9-fingered palm covered most of the Devil Dao sect. There wasn't just one palm. After it, 2 more giant palms followed. One came from the 5-element true body, while the second came from the thunder essence true body. 3 palm prints filled with destructive aura closed in on the red-robed man. The man's body was covered in a large amount of red fog. The fog turned into 2 huge arms and rose up as if they were going to support the sky. The 2 arms formed by the red fog seemed to contain endless power and had killed countless cultivators to make him famous. However, facing Wang Lin's palm, they were destroyed like withered wood. The moment the 2 arms touched the palm print, they immediately collapsed. The first palm print rapidly descended and touched the red fog around the red-robed man. The fog scattered and the red-robed man inside roared and bit the tip of his tongue to spit out blood. He raised his arms to collide with the palm print once more. Devil Dao blood body. The red-robed man's expression was fierce and revealed a hint of madness. Blood erupted from the 36,000 pores on his body and covered him to form a blood body. There was an extremely pure Devil Dao aura coming from his blood body. His left hand contained Dao and his right hand contained Devil. When his arms pushed out, the first palm print collapsed before him. When the palm print collapsed, the red-robed man coughed out blood, but the blood was immediately absorbed by him. He retreated several steps and the second palm print landed. The red-robed man's hair was scattered and he seemed to have lost his mind. The only thing that remained was his unwillingness to die and a sense of madness. His legs began to rapidly wither and his blood and flesh began to move. All of his flesh and essences seemed to gather in his arms. His arms suddenly expanded several folds, making for an extremely shocking sight. Wang Lin had seen Big Head use this kind of spell before, but it was not nearly as amazing as the red-robed man's. Not only did his legs wither, but even his body withered. All the flesh and blood gathered in his arms and smashed into the second palm print in the sky. Thunderous rumbles shook the world. The second palm print created by the 5-element true body collided with the red-robed man. The palm print collapsed and the red-robed man's body trembled. He continued to step back, and his left arm exploded into a mist of blood. His eyes were filled with despair. When the third palm print closed in, he let out the last roar of his life. He knew he could not escape, but he wanted to fight. In a flash, he rushed into the sky toward the third palm print. His soul began to burn and his origin soul gave off a destructive aura. At this moment of life or death, he decided to burn his life in exchange for a surge in power. His cultivation level increased from void turbulent exalt like crazy as he burned his life force. When the third palm print closed in, his cultivation leaped into Golden Exalt. The moment he became a Golden Exalt, the third palm print collided with him and a thunderous rumble echoed. The thunder palm print collapsed, but this was just ordinary thunder, not slaughter thunder. After the palm print scattered, the red-robed man had a crazed look. His body was a bloody mess, but he didn't die. He stared at Wang Lin and knew he only had 10 breaths left to live. After 10 breaths he would die, and Wang Lin wouldn't have to do anything. However, the only thought in his mind was that death was the price for 10 breaths of Golden Exalt strength to kill Wang Lin, who had forced him into this situation. Without hesitation, he charged at Wang Lin. Die! He let out a fierce roar filled with killing intent, and he closed in on Wang Lin on the second breath. Wang Lin didn't dodge. He just coldly looked at the red-robed man. You're qualified for me to use 70% of my power, Wang Lin muttered as the red-robed man closed in. He raised his right hand and the Yin blade retracted. His eyes lit up and his 5-element true body and thunder essence true body fused with him. Then he threw a punch at the red-robed man. This punch was 70% of Wang Lin's power. This punch was a fusion of his ancient Tao and void turbulent cultivation, with the celestial vein releasing 70% of its power. The punch looked powerless, but it caused the world to change colors and tremble. The void between the two of them distorted and ripples echoed. Wang Lin's punch seemed to exceed time and space as it landed on the red-robed man's chest. The Golden Exalt red-robed man's body trembled. He revealed a bitter smile as his body exploded. He still had 7 more breaths of Golden Exalt strength, but there was no need to spend that time. The moment he died, the red-robed man clearly knew how strong Wang Lin was. He was not Wang Lin's match. Even though he had burned his soul and life, he was still not Wang Lin's match. Is this Golden Exalt? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent. He had only used 70% of his power, but he felt how powerful Golden Exalts were. When the red-robed man died, the 30,000 cultivators and dozens of third-step cultivators scattered to escape. However, Wang Lin had already sealed the Devil Dao sect, so they couldn't escape. Wang Lin stood there with a cold gaze. He looked at the lake at the center of the sect and the island on the lake. You still won't show yourself. Wang Lin's words echoed like thunder, but no sound came from the lake. Are you attempting to break through? I'll give you the chance. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and he appeared next to a third-step cultivator of the Devil Dao sect. His finger swiped by and a head flew off. You all shouldn't have joined the Devil Dao sect. Wang Lin turned and stepped away. He appeared before another third-step cultivator, and as that person howled, his finger pierced that person's forehead. At the same time, the seal around the Devil Dao sect rumbled. The seal around the sect rapidly shrank. Any Devil Dao sect cultivator that touched the seal died. Since Wang Lin said he was going to destroy the sect, he was going to destroy the sect. Not a single member would be allowed to escape. Wang Lin indifferently moved and killed those dozens of third-step cultivators one by one. He stood at the edge of the half-empty lake and looked at the island. Screams entered his ears as large amounts of the 30,000 Devil Dao sect cultivators died. These miserable screams continued to echo across the world. They entered Wang Lin's ears and also the heart of the Devil Dao sect's sect master, who was still in closed-door cultivation. The Devil Dao sect and Apos sect master's expression was distorted. His eyes were red, but he continued to endure. He didn't dare to leave. He didn't dare. He had watched Wang Lin kill the golden-robed old man and saw the red-robed man sacrifice his own life to reach Golden Exalt cultivation. However, what made him tremble was Wang Lin's punch. That simple-looking punch had instantly killed a Golden Exalt. The Devil Dao sect and Apos sect master had divinated thousands of times to see if he could survive that punch. After doing so more than 1,000 times, he died 50% of the time. However, this was only 70% of Wang Lin's power. Once Wang Lin used full power, the consequences were very clear. What's more, the Devil Dao sect and Apos sect master clearly knew that Wang Lin still had the Heavenly Bull soul armor. Wang Lin hadn't even used the armor yet. I can't go out. I have already reported the matter here to the old ancestor. I don't know if he can rush back. The screams from outside made his heart ache, but his expression soon became cold. So what if they die? Even if the entire Devil Dao sect dies, as long as I'm still alive, it can be rebuilt. The more death and destruction there is, the more likely it is to anger the old ancestor. And I also have a backup plan. The agreement between me and the Great Soul Sect's esteemed Green Bull has come to an end. The final battle must be happening right now. The two continents have been acting out this play for tens of thousands of years. In the last 100 years, we made it even more real by sacrificing large amounts of cultivators. Using this price, we must be able to attract the attention of the royal family. The celestial emperor that came out of closed-door cultivation more than 100 years ago must have noticed. An imperial edict will be sent. The Devil Dao sect and Appo's sect master was enduring the screams from outside when his eyes became cold. Outside, Wang Lin looked at the lake and saw the shadow moving under the water. The rapidly contracting seal had killed most of the Devil Dao sect cultivators and destroyed a large amount of buildings, leaving the sect in ruins. It was condensing toward the center of the lake. At this moment, on the Heavenly Bull continent, a big event occurred. The Guei sect was surrounded by countless Green Devil continent cultivators. They began a crazed slaughter in an attempt to open the Guei sect formation. Both sides had 7 or 8 geniuses that had risen up, and the two armies fought regardless of death. All the Void Turbulent cultivators, including the sect master and the several Void Turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil continent, all raised their heads to look at the sky. At this moment, the sky was covered by a monstrous golden light. Under this golden light, all the cultivators inside and outside the Gui sect stopped fighting and looked at the sky in horror. A wave of endless pressure came from the sky and descended. A golden figure calmly stood inside the golden light and looked down. Heavenly Bull continent, Green Devil continent, all members of the Celestial clan, except this edict. There were 2 more of the same figure. One appeared outside the Great Soul sect and one moved at an indescribable speed toward the Green Devil continent. As the powerful words came from the golden figure in the sky, all the cultivators inside and outside the Guei sect became silent. They all looked up and were shocked. Imperial family. Celestial Emperor. Imperial Edict. The Celestial Emperor's Imperial Edict was extremely rare and barely appeared, maybe once in tens of thousands of years. This edict represented the irresistible majesty of the Celestial Emperor at the Central Continent. It would not be wrong to call it the might of the heavens. On the immortal astral continent, the Celestial Emperor had the bloodline of the Celestial Ancestor, and was a supreme existence among the Celestials. Although they were only the ruler of all the Celestials in name, they were not something a mere sect, faction, or continent could resist. Due to their bloodline over countless years, they were not only the nominal emperor, but also the symbol of the entire Celestial clan. Unless one planned to betray the Celestials, they had to listen to the Imperial Edict. More importantly, this emperor was one of the 9 sons. With such a powerful strength along with his identity, it allowed this generation's imperial family's power to reach an extremely high degree. Greetings, Celestial Emperor. All the cultivators clasped their hands and bowed. No matter where the cultivator came from or what their cultivation level was, they all bowed with respect from the depths of their hearts. The golden figure in the sky was not the Celestial Emperor, but holding the Imperial Edict meant that he was the embodiment of the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial clan didn't need to kneel before the Emperor. They only had to bow. This was a rule set by the Celestial Ancestor because he believed that Celestials were those that defied the heavens, so how could they kneel to another so casually? The reason the Imperial clan always stayed back and didn't participate in worldly affairs was also due to the will of the Celestial Ancestor. Celestials couldn't be restrained, and if they were restrained, they weren't worthy of being called Celestials. As a result, even the 4 other Grand Empyreans gave the Imperial family a certain degree of respect. As all the cultivators inside and outside the Gui sect bowed, the golden figure in the sky looked down on the earth. There are 3 Imperial Edicts, one here, one at the Great Soul sect, and the last one at the Green Devil Continent's Devil Dao sect. With a wave of their right hand, the golden light shined brightly once more. An Imperial Edict made of unknown material was opened by this person. The celestial bloodline has lasted since ancient times until now. The cultivators of the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent are to stop this war immediately. Yunifeng, Tangjia, Edgecloud, Zhouhai, Zhaodongqing. These 8 people will come to the palace and enter the ancestral temple to enter the trial. The golden figure's words were slow, but each word was like thunder. The 8 cultivators he named were all filled with excitement. These 8 names belonged to the most eye-catching 16 people in this war that were at the Guiyi sect. As these words echoed, the Guiyi sect's sect master let out a deep breath and revealed a smile. This war seemed complex, but it was actually very simple. The battle between the 2 continents was to display the new generation to attract the attention of the Celestial Emperor and enter the ancestral temple. The Guiyi sect's sect master was not the only one who smiled. The Void Tribulent Exalts from the Green Devil continent also smiled. They all clasped their hands and bowed once more after the edict was finished. We all obey the will of the Emperor. The golden figure waved their right hand and the golden edict flew out. It floated before the Guiyi sect and gave off a soft, golden light. After doing this, the golden figure no longer spoke and disappeared from the sky. The golden light in the sky slowly disappeared and returned to normal. Almost at the same time, outside the Great Soul sect, the battle between the 2 sides reached the most intense moment. Void Cloud and the geniuses from the Great Soul sect were battling when the second golden figure appeared. The same scene took place above the Great Soul sect. All the cultivators bowed and even the Imperial Edict had pretty much the same meaning, only the 8 names were changed to Void Cloud and company. After the golden figure left, both the inside and outside of the Great Soul sect were completely silent. Old Ancestor Green Bull looked at the sky after the golden light had scattered and revealed a complicated expression. He let out a sigh. Far too many cultivators had died in the war between the 2 continents, but for this opportunity they had to do this. It was the opportunity to enter the ancestral temple. Although the old ancestor's divination changed a bit, it ended up being mostly the same. But I never told Wang Lin the reason. The old man shook his head as he let out a sigh and went toward his closed-door cultivation location. This war that had lasted for more than 100 years ended because of these 2 imperial edicts. The cultivators of the Green Devil continent slowly retreated back to their homes on the Green Devil continent. The Heavenly Bull continent had suffered heavy casualties, but the Green Devil continent had suffered even more. On the Green Devil continent in the Devil Dao sect, as the seal rapidly shrank, anyone who touched it died miserably. Even the buildings were turned into ruins by the seal. In less than 30 breaths of time, the seal had destroyed everything and killed all the cultivators. It gathered around the lake under Wang Lin's feet. At the same time, most of the origin souls of the 30,000 cultivators were destroyed. Only the origin souls of the dozens of third-step cultivators remained trapped inside the seal. They all flew toward Wang Lin and were caught by him. Origin souls were very important for his rapid spell art, as he only had 1 spell vein. If he could devour more origin souls, his casting speed could reach a shocking degree. Out of the 2 late-stage Void Tribulent cultivators, one's origin soul was destroyed and the other had burned to death, so Wang Lin hadn't collected them. The main reason was because Wang Lin needed to judge how powerful he was right now. In such a situation, if he took care to maintain the origin soul, he wouldn't be able to accurately judge how powerful he had become. In the future, it wouldn't be difficult for him to obtain Void Tribulent origin souls. However, for these dozens of third-step cultivators, he had no hesitation in taking them, and he put them into his storage space. Wang Lin didn't know what had happened in the Heavenly Bull continent. He just stared at the lake below. The sounds of dying cultivators had disappeared and now it was dead silence. The Devil Dao sect has been destroyed and everyone is dead. If any of them remain, they are on the Heavenly Bull continent, yet you still won't come out. Wang Lin's words were cold and he waved his hand at the lake below. The moment he waved his hand, the seal around the lake shined brightly and thunderous rumbles echoed across the ruined sect. The seal began to rapidly contract around the lake. The water in the lake began to ripple rapidly and water vapor flew out. It was obvious this lake was rapidly collapsing. The seal contained powerful destructive force. When it contracted the water dissipated and the lake collapsed, leaving only the light that rushed toward the island at the center. However, when the seal was halfway to the island, a roar came from inside the lake. A dark blue sea dragon rushed out from the lake. This was a sea dragon. A completely blue sea dragon that was hundreds of thousands of feet long. The sea dragon was a celestial beast on the immortal astral continent. It looked fierce and gave off dense celestial energy. This sea dragon had lived for a certain amount of time. It gave off an ancient aura, and its head was somewhat different from other dragons' heads. The row of thorns on its back made it look even more shocking. This dragon had no claws. It looked like a large python, but it had power comparable to a dragon's. Its body looked slender but was hundreds of feet thick. On its head, aside from the thorns covering its back, there were two huge fins that connected together like a fan. As the sea dragon flew into the air, large amounts of water flew down from its scales. As the dragon flew out, the water level of the lake decreased a lot. Roar! The moment it appeared, the sea dragon's giant, red eyes stared at Wang Lin, and it let out a shocking roar. As it howled, two more eyes appeared. This dragon actually had 4 eyes. The sea dragon should live in the sea, but it lived inside the lake. The moment it appeared, a pressure spread out from its body. The moment the sea dragon appeared, an earth-yellow light came from the island, forming a protective barrier that protected the island from the seal. Shortly after, the sea dragon suddenly moved. It opened its mouth and charged at Wang Lin to devour him. All the thorns on its back stood straight and gave off a cold chill. This sea dragon had power no weaker than a peak golden exalt. It had followed the Empyrean exalt for a long time, and when he left the sea dragon here at the Devil Dao sect. He was confident that with this dragon and the power of the Devil Dao sect, the sect would be safe for countless years. As the sea dragon charged into the sky toward Wang Lin, a ray of golden light arrived in the Green Devil continent from the Heavenly Bull continent, flying at a speed faster than Void Turbulent Exalt cultivators. From its speed, it wouldn't take too long before it arrived at the Devil Dao sect. The sea dragon roared and rapidly closed in on Wang Lin. Inside the island surrounded by the earth-yellow light, the Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master stared above. His eyes could easily penetrate this place and see everything outside. This sea dragon was left by the old ancestor. If I wanted to kill it, it would take a lot of effort and I might not even succeed. Although this Wang Lin killed Elder Feng sacrificed his life to reach Golden Exalt for a short period of time. There was still a big gap between him and a real Golden Exalt. He can kill Elder Feng, but he can't quickly seal with the sea dragon left by the old ancestor. With the sea dragon's delay, the old ancestor will certainly receive the news. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master didn't dare to go out, but his hatred for Wang Lin was monstrous. He wished he could devour Wang Lin's flesh and blood. As he clenched his teeth and whispered, his right hand trembled. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master looked down on his right hand and green gas appeared. The green gas turned into 7 strands and entered his orifices. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master trembled and closed his eyes. However, he soon opened his eyes, and they were filled with ecstasy. He began to laugh out loud. It's done. The Celestial Emperor has handed out the Imperial Edicts. There are 3 Imperial Edicts, and one of them is heading to my Devil Dao sect. That edict must be dedicated to me. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master laughed and revealed an insuppressible sense of excitement. Wang Lin, you want to kill me? You want to kill my Devil Dao sect's Dao? The old ancestor will soon arrive, and once he does, you will without a doubt die. The Imperial Edict is coming soon. Once the Imperial Messenger is here, how will you kill me? If you kill me, then you will kill the person who will accept the edict, which is a great crime. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master was very happy. Outside the earth-yellow light, the sea dragon charged at Wang Lin. Its huge body gave off a shocking pressure, and this pressure was enough to shock the world. All below Golden Exalt would tremble and not dare to fight it. As the roar became even more intense, he heard a sound that could shake one's soul. This roar seemed to contain a powerful force that could make one tremble. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he stared at the sea dragon that was rapidly closing in. He had never seen such a beast before, and he felt the terrifying aura coming from it. This was the power of a Golden Exalt, which was causing the sky to change colors as the sea dragon closed in. The clear sky became dim and gloomy as if clouds had filled it. Golden Exalt Beast. Wang Lin's eyes shined and revealed a monstrous golden light. His eyes revealed shocking battle intent. His cultivation erupted completely without reservation. This was his first time releasing his full cultivation since he obtained the great fortune at the Green Devil Scorpion Temple. He fully released his ancient Tao body and his void turbulent cultivation. Aside from not wearing the soul armor, this was Wang Lin's highest peak in his nearly 3,000 years of cultivation. His white hair suddenly extended several-fold until it was longer than this body. It hung in the air and matched his white robe. Wang Lin looked like he was surrounded by cold white light. As his hair extended past his feet, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the sea dragon. Sundered night. The world rumbled and the surroundings suddenly changed into a monstrous sea. As the sea roared, the sky became dark. A rising sun in the dark sky released dazzling light. The sea dragon's huge body trembled and its eyes revealed fear. It clearly felt that the cultivator was using a spell that made it feel unimaginable horror. It felt like it had gone back to a time when it was still very weak. It remembered the fear it felt when facing the might of the heavens. The rising sun revealed Wang Lin's figure. He was the rising sun and walked out from the bright light. A powerful faith power spread out from his body. This faith power surrounded the area and caused the sea dragon's body to tremble violently. The sea dragon didn't dare to close in. It retreated like crazy. Even though it had strength equal to that of a golden exalt, it felt death closing in on it inside the dark sky. However, no matter how fast it retreated, it could not escape from the dark sky and the force that will tear this darkness apart. As the light from the rising sun spread out, the darkness collapsed layer by layer toward the sea dragon. It was as if it was going to tear the sea dragon apart along with the darkness. The feeling of death surrounded the sea dragon's entire body, and its body trembled as it roared. Intense pain came from all over its body. The power that was tearing the darkness apart was destroying its body. This intense pain was something not even its powerful physical body and golden exalt cultivation could bear. As it roared in pain, it was filled with fear and despair as if it was in a nightmare it could not wake from. Surrender or die. As its body was about to collapse and die, as pain flooded through its body, pushing it infinitely close to death, a powerful voice filled with faith and majesty echoed in the world. The moment the voice rang out, the sea dragon struggled to open its eyes, blinded by the rising sun. It saw Wang Lin walk out of the rising sun and then suddenly entered a trance. Grand Empyrean. In the eyes of the sea dragon, the rising sun behind Wang Lin was like a sun. The 10th sun on the immortal astral continent. The figure under the sun, the powerful faith power, it was a Grand Empyrean. Its owner, the Devil Dao sect's ancestor, was only an Empyrean exalt, and at this moment Wang Lin looked like a Grand Empyrean to the sea dragon. It fell into a trance. It would not yield to others even in death because it had its own pride. However, at this moment it trembled and lay down without hesitation. Surrender. The moment it released this message from its mind, the seal of its original master immediately collapsed. A beast at the golden exalt stage could not be controlled by ordinary means. It required a great amount of aura to make it surrender. Aside from Grand Empyreans, others couldn't make a celestial beast like this their slave. They could only keep an equal relationship. The dragon and its previous owner were like this. But the moment it surrendered, a green soul aura came out from the head of the sea dragon. Wang Lin grabbed this soul aura with his hand. Not even the previous owner of the sea dragon was able to obtain this soul aura. However, under a trance and enlightenment, this sea dragon had given its soul aura to Wang Lin. Controlling the soul aura meant full control over its life and death. The moment Wang Lin took control of the soul force, the darkness disappeared and the surrounding sea and sun scattered. Everything returned to normal. The earth was still the ruins of the Devil Dao sect and the sky was clear. However, the Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master inside the earth yellow light was filled with disbelief when he saw this. His body suddenly trembled. No way. That sea dragon belongs to the old ancestor. It actually surrendered to Wang Lin. The Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master was filled with fear. He was not just shocked by the surrender of the sea dragon, but the sundered night spell Wang Lin had used after erupting his full cultivation. Faith spell. That was a faith spell. He thought the sea dragon could delay for some time, but he didn't expect things to turn around so quickly. In just a few short moments, Wang Lin used a faith spell, and the sea dragon chose to surrender. Endless fear instantly surrounded the heart of the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master. Without hesitation, he bit the tip of his tongue and spayed out blood. The blood turned into a blood mist and quickly entered the earth-yellow light to reinforce the power of the light barrier. I can't let him inside. I'm not his match, I can't let him enter. Time, I need time. Old ancestor should be here soon and the imperial edict should be here even sooner. Time, I need time. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master seemed to have gone crazy. His hands rapidly formed seals and they flew into the light barrier around the island. As the light barrier flickered and was being reinforced, Wang Lin stepped forward. The sea dragon followed and looked at Wang Lin with respect and awe. As Wang Lin closed in on the light barrier, he silently raised his right hand. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and he threw a punch. Rumble, 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 rumble. The light barrier that was reinforced by the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master only lasted for an instant before it shattered into countless pieces. All the surrounding buildings on the island were destroyed as well, revealing the desperate Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master. Wang Lin coldly looked at the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master. He didn't hesitate to charge forward with a punch. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master seemed to have gone crazy as he retreated and his hands formed seals. However, his body trembled and he coughed out blood. He was seriously injured and was forced back. Wang Lin, you dare to kill me? My Devil Dao sect's ancestor is an Empyrean Exalt cultivator. If you kill me, you will die a terrible death. Wang Lin didn't speak. He stepped forward and was about to throw another punch. Just at this moment, a ray of golden light arrived at an unimaginable speed and shrouded the world. Inside the golden light stood a golden figure. Celestial Emperor's messenger, Celestial Emperor's messenger, the Imperial Edict is here. Wang Lin, I want to see if you still dare to kill me. Do you dare to go against the edict? The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master was filled with despair, but now he was suddenly very excited. The golden light in the sky gave off a dazzling glow and lit up the ruined Devil Dao sect. The golden figure didn't even look down as he waved his hand and the Imperial Edict appeared. Devil Dao sect, accept the edict. As he spoke, the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master's eyes were filled with indescribable excitement and surprise. He stopped retreating and clasped his hands toward the sky. Just as he was about to speak, the excitement in his eyes collapsed and was replaced with fear. Because Wang Lin wasn't looking up at the golden light in the sky and had ignored the Imperial Edict. He didn't pause and he instantly closed in on the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master. He raised his right hand and smashed down. A thunderous rumble echoed when his punch landed. Wang Lin's full cultivation erupted and formed a power that would terrify all Golden Exalt cultivators. Killing someone under the Imperial Edict. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master's heart trembled and he retreated like crazy. He activated his full cultivation and the Dao and Devil shadows appeared to defend him. Thunderous rumbles echoed once more and Wang Lin's punch shattered the Dao shadow and collapsed the Devil shadow. His punch landed on the Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master's chest. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master trembled and coughed out a large amount of blood. His injuries became even more serious. He was knocked back and fear filled his eyes. Thunder spread out from his body and formed countless balls of thunder that shot at Wang Lin. At the same time, the golden figure surrounded by the golden light coldly looked at Wang Lin. He held up the Imperial Edict and let out a roar filled with a sense of majesty. To kill someone before the Imperial Edict, you have guts. Still not backing down. Wang Lin completely ignored the golden figure and stepped toward the seriously injured Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master. He completely ignored the balls of thunder. No one can save someone I want to kill. Wang Lin raised his right hand and threw the third punch. A thunderous rumble echoed and all the balls of thunder collapsed. Although the Devil Dao sect's sect master was a Golden Exalt cultivator, he let out a miserable scream. He coughed out blood once more as he was knocked back. His whole body seemed to wilt, and monstrous fear appeared in his eyes. The Imperial Edict is here. If you kill me, then you will without a doubt die. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' sect master looked miserable and blood mist gushed out from his body. The shockwave from Wang Lin's punch was rippling in his body, and he was almost out of strength. His cultivation was not a match for Wang Lin. You dare to kill before the imperial edict? Arrogant. I am the imperial messenger here to announce the imperial edict. Not retreating means defying the edict. The golden figure saw Wang Lin and immediately roared before he rushed toward him. As he charged out, a golden light released from this golden figure, turning into a golden curtain that flew toward Wang Lin. Dense celestial energy came from the golden curtain, along with a sense of majesty. When the crazed Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master saw this, he seemed to have spotted a chance to survive. He looked mad as his hands formed a seal and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. 9 black flying knives flew out toward Wang Lin. Scram! There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he turned to roar at the incoming imperial messenger. He waved his hand at the imperial messenger. With this, the world changed colors and a giant palm print appeared. It carried with it the might of the world and flew toward the imperial messenger. As a thunderous rumble echoed, the giant palm print collided with the golden light curtain. The light curtain immediately collapsed and the palm touched the imperial messenger. As the thunderous rumbles replaced all sounds in the world, the imperial messenger coughed out blood and was knocked back 1,000 feet. He barely stopped and coughed out blood once more. He looked at Wang Lin with disbelief in his eyes. Empyrean exalt cultivation. Wang Lin had forced the imperial messenger back with one palm. His cultivation erupted and a black wind appeared around his body, colliding with the 9 black flying knives. Thunderous rumbles echoed and all 9 knives collapsed. Wang Lin stepped forward and instantly arrived next to the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master. Fear filled the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master's eyes as Wang Lin's right hand smashed down on his chest. A thunderous rumble echoed and his expression dimmed, the death aura filling his body. He was knocked back and Wang Lin followed after like an arrow and threw another punch. More than 100 years later, the scene outside the Meng Earth continent, the human heads flying and Wang Lin desperately trying to escape fate, appeared in his mind. This time he didn't punch but opened his mouth and inhaled. Die! Wang Lin threw a punch and the body of the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master collapsed. His origin soul screamed as he escaped from his collapsed body. Everything that had happened in the Green Scorpion Temple, and his tenacity appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. This devour seemed to cause infinite suction force to spread out. The origin soul of the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master let out a howl of despair before his death. Old ancestor, save me! Lord Messenger, save me! The expression of the imperial messenger holding the edict changed greatly. He clenched his teeth and charged down once more to stop Wang Lin from devouring the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master. Wang Lin, if you kill him, I can't declare the emperor's edict. This is not a matter you can bear. It is an offense to the might of the celestials. Do you want to betray the entire celestial clan? This was the first time the imperial messenger had delivered an imperial edict. He didn't expect to encounter something like. As an imperial messenger, he had seen many powerful cultivators in the central continent, but none of them was as arrogant as Wang Lin, to dare to kill someone under the imperial edict. You're dead. If you do this, you're dead. The imperial messenger was extremely angry and rushed out with a roar. Golden light shined from his body and turned into a large golden print around his body. He smashed toward Wang Lin, who was devouring the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master. At this moment, the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master's origin soul had been pulled within 1,000 feet of Wang Lin by the suction force. He could not break free at all and was letting out howls of despair. The imperial messenger's action caused the Devil Dao sect and Oppos sect master to struggle even more violently. If he wanted to live, he would have to borrow external force to escape. The golden print closed in and instantly shrouded Wang Lin. When it was about to land, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a flash of coldness. He suddenly turned around and his eyes revealed monstrous golden light. The golden light contained the sword fragment of the celestial ancestor's sword, and the power to suppress the heavens and earth. At this moment, that power erupted from the golden light in his eyes. Scram! If you attempt to stop me again, no matter what your identity is, I'll kill you today. The golden print released a sound like it was about to collapse under Wang Lin's gaze. An invisible force bombarded the golden print and caused it to be unable to move forward. The heart of the Imperial Messenger trembled when he felt the suppression force from Wang Lin's gaze. His expression changed and his scalp felt numb as his body trembled from the majesty of the gaze. This kind of gaze, this kind of majesty, and this kind of suppression was something he had only ever felt from the Celestial Emperor. Although Wang Lin couldn't compare to the Celestial Emperor, at this moment, the Imperial Messenger felt like he was facing the Celestial Emperor. He didn't dare to not retreat. He had to retreat. As he retreated, the Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master was completely filled with despair. He watched his origin soul get pulled from 1,000 feet to less than 300 feet from Wang Lin. Seeing how he was going to be devoured, his eyes were filled with madness. If you want to kill me, then you will be buried with me. Lord Messenger, this old man accepts the edict. This old man wants to listen to the edict of the Celestial Emperor even if I die. He didn't choose to blow himself up but chose to let the Imperial Messenger read the Imperial Edict. This would set in stone Wang Lin's crime of killing him. He was using his death to make Wang Lin suffer in the future. As his howl echoed, his origin soul was less than 10 feet from Wang Lin. His origin soul turned into a ghostly light and was devoured by Wang Lin. Let's die together. The mission of the Imperial Messenger in the sky was to pass the edict. Now that the person who was going to receive the edict had accepted, he didn't hesitate to open the edict. At the same time, his voice echoed. The celestial bloodline has lasted since ancient times until now. The sect master of the Devil Dao sect on the Green Devil continent dared to offend the might of the imperial family. He schemed with the servant of the Green Devil against the imperial family. If he is still alive, then destroy him along with the Devil Dao sect before the edict. If he is dead and if he is killed by a person named Wang Lin, then Wang Lin will accept the edict. Come to the central continent. I learned of how you helped Dao Fei, and I have not forgotten about it. As the Imperial Messenger read the edict, sweat appeared on his forehead. Before he met the person who would receive the edict, he couldn't open it either. This was the first time he saw the edict, and after reading it he was startled. If he was like this, there was no need to mention the Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master. After he was completely devoured by Wang Lin, he heard all of the edict and his vision went black. After devouring the Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master, Wang Lin closed his eyes and popping sounds echoed in his body. He erased the divine sneeze on the origin soul and injected it into his spell vein. When he had free time, he could use this origin soul to increase the number of spell veins he had. A moment later, Wang Lin opened his eyes and waved his sleeve. The earth trembled and the half-collapsed lake and island trembled. As the storm swept by, it was destroyed completely. The Devil Dao sect had collapsed. The Imperial Messenger in the golden light stood there with an awkward expression. It wasn't until Wang Lin opened his eyes that he clasped his hands with a bitter smile. Fellow cultivator Wang, don't blame me. I didn't expect the contents of the Imperial Edict to be like this. If I had known earlier, I would have joined forces with fellow cultivator to kill that traitor. Wang Lin had a calm expression as he looked at the Imperial Messenger, but he didn't speak. He was also surprised by the contents of the Imperial Edict, especially the last few lines about him helping out Lian Daofei. The madman's name was Lian Daofei. When I opened the storage space, he and the woman in silver were lost to a rift in the unknown. This madman often called himself king, and from what teacher Xian Luo told me, his big brother is the Celestial Emperor. Could it be that the madman was found by the Emperor, and after he woke up, he told him about his relationship with me? Wang Lin pondered as the Imperial Messenger felt terrified. He was extremely regretful and was bitterly cursing the Death Devil Dao sect and Appos' sect master. That damn sect master. He could have died, but he had to drag me into it. If I knew, I would have ignored Wang Lin and would have read the Imperial Edict first. What is this Wang Lin's identity for the Celestial Emperor to talk to him like this? And helping Lian Daofei. Prince Daofei awakened 30 years ago, could it be? The pupils of the imperial messenger shrank and he quickly dispelled all thoughts. He knew there were things that he should not know or guess. This Wang Lin has such power and he certainly has the attention of the Celestial Emperor. I must repair things as soon as possible. Fellow cultivator, don't blame me, don't blame me. I was really confused before. The Devil Dao sect and Appo's sect master deserved to be killed. As the imperial messenger spoke, he looked at Wang Lin. When he saw that Wang Lin still had a gloomy expression, his heart sank. This is bad. This person must still care about the fact I acted twice. If he speaks badly about me before the Celestial Emperor, then I? Sweat appeared on his forehead, and as the wind blew by, he felt a chill. Fellow cultivator Wang, I have some specialties from the Central Continent. This is our first meeting, so please accept these small gifts. His heart ached as he took out a jade and handed it to Wang Lin along with the edict. Wang Lin was just pondering the karma of this when he looked at the imperial messenger. He accepted the imperial edict, but he didn't look at it and instead looked at the jade. He scanned it with his divine sense, and although he looked calm, his heart skipped a beat. There was no information inside, but it contained a storage space filled with large amounts of origin stones that contained celestial energy. After putting the jade away, Wang Lin silently looked at the imperial messenger with a cold gaze. Under his gaze, the imperial messenger complained in his heart. He clenched his teeth and waved his hand to take out a jade bottle. His heart ached as he squeezed out a smile. I forgot this. This is a specialty of the Central Continent. It's not too precious, so fellow cultivator must accept it. He handed the jade bottle to Wang Lin. After Wang Lin accepted it, he scanned it with his divine sense before the imperial messenger. There were a large amount of pills within. They were all for healing, and many of them were extremely precious. It would be difficult for ordinary cultivators to obtain them. Only the imperial messenger could find methods to obtain them in the Central Continent. After sending out 2 great gifts, the imperial messenger's heart ached. He closely looked at Wang Lin and saw that his cold expression had eased a bit, which made him feel relieved. However, Wang Lin's cold gaze was still staring at the imperial messenger after receiving the pills. Under Wang Lin's gaze, the imperial messenger complained bitterly in his heart once more. Too greedy. This. The imperial messenger had to put a smile on his face. His right hand trembled and he clenched his teeth. He took out another jade and squeezed out a smile. I have a bit of real estate in the Central Continent. His heart ached violently as he handed another jade to Wang Lin. After taking this jade, Wang Lin slowly put on a smile. When the imperial messenger saw this smile, he let out a big sigh of relief. Lord Messenger, you don't have to be so polite. Since these Central Continent specialties are not precious, then I won't be polite. Yes, none of them are precious things. The imperial messenger felt pain in his chest as he smiled bitterly. Wang Lin slowly asked, since Lord Messenger came to the Green Devil Continent, you must have passed through the Heavenly Bull Continent. I wonder how is the war going over there? There was a total of 3 imperial edicts. The Heavenly Bull Continent and the Guai sect both had an imperial edict each. The war should have ended, so everyone is probably returning to their respective sections. The imperial messenger didn't keep this matter a secret. Wang Lin put away the jade and casually asked, Dao Fei is at the imperial city? Prince Dao Fei has awakened and wanted to leave the imperial city, but he was stopped by the emperor. These were all rumors, so the imperial messenger felt that there was no harm in talking about it. Oh, I saved Dao Fei before and helped him. Wang Lin smiled. The imperial messenger quickly nodded. He had noticed this when he read the edict, and now Wang Lin that had said it, he was even more certain. Dao Fei's personality. I haven't seen him in a long time. Is he still the same as before? Wang Lin shook his head and let out a sigh. Prince Dao Fei. The imperial messenger hesitated, but after considering the edict and Wang Lin's words, he continued. With my identity, I can't see Prince Dao Fei. However, rumors say that after Prince Dao Fei awakened 30 years ago, his personality is not the same as before. But sometimes it's the same. The imperial messenger was hesitant as he spoke. Wang Lin's heart skipped a bit. He smiled and no longer spoke. The imperial messenger saw this, and he knew when it was time to advance and retreat. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin. Fellow cultivator Wang, this imperial edict can be used to transfer to the central continent. This place is far from the central continent, so you will need to transfer 8 times. I'll need to head back first to report to the emperor. When you arrive at the imperial city, I'll greet you. The imperial messenger smiled and quickly left. He was afraid that he would say something to anger Wang Lin, and would have to give away another not too precious item. Only after the imperial messenger was gone did Wang Lin's smile disappear. It was replaced with a gloomy expression. He didn't leave the ruins of the Devil Dao sect but sat down on green stone in the sect, and his eyes shined. Liang Daofei. His greed and many of his negative traits were devoured by the heavenly Dao. According to this, his personality should differ greatly from before. The words of the imperial messenger also reveal this. His personality has changed, but what has it changed into? Wang Lin frowned and looked at the darkening sky. He continued to ponder. However, if he really has changed, then why did his brother only announce this now, 30 years after he awakened? If he really wanted to thank me, then 30 years ago, when I was suffering and receiving the fortune in the Scorpion Temple. The contents of the imperial edict are very interesting. There was coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he waved his right hand. A black wind appeared and a few miserable screams echoed before it quieted down. Wang Lin was vicious. When he was determined to do something, he would be even more vicious. Since he had decided to erase the Devil Dao sect, he wouldn't allow the members that were at the Heavenly Bull continent to escape. The ones that would return first would be those with very high statuses. They would likely use transfer arrays to return at any cost. Wang Lin was also waiting for someone else aside from these people. The Devil Dao sect's old ancestor should be on his way. He is an Empyrean Exalt, and in order to wipe out the Dao of the Devil Dao sect, he must die. And even if I don't look for him, he will still come and find me. Grand Empyrean. I wonder how I compare to a Grand Empyrean after equipping the soul armor. Wang Lin sat on the green stone and looked into the distance. After dealing with the matter of the Devil Dao sect, I have 2 choices. Go to the Donglin sect and enter the Donglin pool to see if it will help my other essences to condense essence true bodies. Or head to the central continent to see what kind of dragon den and tiger cave it is. I will see if that Liang Daofei even remembers me, and what his celestial emperor big brother has in store. However, teacher once said that there are 5 Grand Empyreans, and Celestial Emperor Liang Daozhen is one of them. If I got here, I might face a lot of danger. Wang Lin closed his eyes and pondered in the dark. 5 continents away from the Green Devil continent, there was a ray of light flying through the sky. Inside the light was a red-haired old man with a calm expression, but there was anger hidden in his eyes. In a flash, the world rumbled and he disappeared into a transfer array. At great cost, he crossed transfer arrays to travel through the continent. He was the Devil Dao sect's ancestor, who was now under Grand Empyrean Daoyi. The Imperial City is a place I must go. Not for the thanks, but for my vow to Lian Daofei. I must restore Daofei's memories to repay for all he has done for me. Wang Lin revealed a determined gaze. He remembered the kindness others had given him. Back then, the madman had given him kindness. Now he had to go to the Imperial City to see if the madman had fully recovered. Then he would have no regrets and would untie the knot in his heart. No matter what his personality is, changed or not, even if he thinks of me differently, I must go and see for myself. Wang Lin silently pondered, but there was a hint of melancholy in his eyes. He didn't know what the madman was like now. He didn't know if the madman would still roar and clamor around him. I'll tell you, this king is powerful. This king will bite you to death. Bite you to death. Damn it, you dare to pretend to be dead before this king? It's raining. Little Red, come and massage my shoulders. Tell my big brother that this king is tired. I won't cultivate today and will go out to play. Tell him not to come and find me. Once I finish playing, I'll come back. If he dares to take me back like before, I'll cut off my relationship with him. This king's blood is very, 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 very... I think I remember a little devilish girl named Fei Fei giving me something to eat. The madman's voice seemed to echo in his ears. In the darkness of the ruins of the Devil Dao sect, Wang Lin sighed. He remembered when the madman appeared in his life or death crisis and saved him from that fatal blow. He still remembered the third dream when he became immortal, when he and the madman floated in the void. In the dream Dao, he met the madman and they spent a lifetime together. I hope he hasn't changed too much, Wang Lin sighed deeply. He didn't have many friends, and the madman could be considered one. In truth, he hadn't given the madman much. Rather, it was the madman who had helped Wang Lin greatly. I must go to the imperial city, but it will be dangerous. I must make some preparations before I go. Wang Lin silently pondered and made a decision. The celestial clan's 5 grand empyreans. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the tortoise shell the great soul sect's old ancestor Green Bull had given him appeared. Aside from the map, there was some information on the grand empyreans. Xian Luo had also given Wang Lin some information back in the cave world. The central continent's celestial emperor inherited the celestial ancestor's 8 extreme Dao, and his grand empyrean 8 extreme. The eastern continent's purple Yang sect, the strongest of the 9 sects and 13 factions, home to grand empyrean Gemini. The southern continent's Dao E sect has grand empyrean Dao E. The northern continent's universe sect has grand empyrean Wu Feng. In the central continent, there is another grand empyrean beside the celestial emperor, and that was grand empyrean Zhou Di. These were the 5 strongest people across the 72 celestial continents, the 5 suns, the 5 grand empyreans. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he analyzed the 5 grand empyreans. Once they learned of his strength, they would certainly want to recruit him. Once he had the backing of a grand empyrean, the danger of his trip to the imperial city would be a lot lower. After all, even if a grand empyrean wanted to kill an empyrean exalt under another grand empyrean, they would need to give a reason. This was empyrean exalts were beyond golden exalts, and were extremely rare on the immortal astral continent. Every grand empyrean had at most 100 empyrean exalts under them. On the entire immortal astral continent, there were no more than 1,000 empyrean exalts. If it was just killing an empyrean exalt, it would still be fine. However, if the target was an ascendant empyrean, then no grand empyrean would allow it, because ascendant empyreans were even more rare. On the entire immortal astral continent, there were only 48 ascendant empyreans. Most of them were in closed-door cultivation, hidden across the immortal astral continent. Less than 30% of them were under a grand empyrean. Figures like these would even be respected by grand empyreans. After all, they were the strongest under grand empyreans. If they didn't want to follow a grand empyrean, the grand empyreans wouldn't force them, unless it was like the great soul sect's Luo Yunhai, who had challenged a grand empyrean. And once an ascendant empyrean chose to follow a grand empyrean, the ascendant empyrean would be treated well and be part of the core. This was because an ascendant empyrean was the best guardian during a grand empyrean's reincarnation. If an ascendant empyrean was killed by a grand empyrean, it would be fine if they were alone, but if they were under the command of another grand empyrean, that grand empyrean would never allow it. This was related to their reputation, related to whether they could recruit more powerful underlings in the future, and related to the important guardian for their reincarnation. No grand empyrean would watch an ascendant empyrean under them die and do nothing. There were simply too few ascendant empyreans. If it was in the ancient clan, there would be no need for this. With teacher there, Wang Lin understood that although he was Xian Luo's only disciple, he couldn't let anyone in the land of the Celestials know. Otherwise, he would be hunted by grand empyreans. The Celestial clan would absolutely not allow a cultivator like him to appear in the ancient clan. Even the madman doesn't know the matter about teacher. Only the Guei sect knows. Since teacher dared to allow the Guei sect to know of this matter and didn't kill them in the cave world, it means he is confident they won't talk. As for the specific reasons, although I don't know, I believe in teacher. Even the grand empyreans won't mind me having an ancient clan body and celestial cultivation, as long as they don't find out about my relationship with teacher Xian Luo. Wang Lin had been on the immortal astral continent for a while now, and he vaguely understood that over the countless years, the ancient and celestial bloodlines had mixed. There were some celestial cultivators with ancient clan bodies, but they weren't recognized by the ancient temple. As a result, Wang Lin's ancient clan body might seem shocking to ordinary cultivator, but not so much to the grand empyreans. Wang Lin also knew that there were some matters that didn't need to be hidden, like the fact that he came from the cave world was meant to be hidden from others, but not the Grand Empyreans. They would have their own way of finding out, and it was even a good thing because they could confirm Wang Lin's origin. Although it was extremely shocking that a cave world cultivator could break out, compared to Wang Lin's cultivation it wasn't important at all. The most important part was Wang Lin's decision. To attract the attention of the Grand Empyreans, I must display my power, a cultivation that can kill an Empyrean exalt. Then I can do as I wish in the Celestial clan. With enough fame, the Grand Empyreans will come to find me themselves. Wang Lin's eyes shined and he was even more determined. A total of 5 Grand Empyreans. The Celestial Emperor can be ignored. As for the other 4, I don't know much about Grand Empyrean Dao Yi, Grand Empyrean Feng, or Grand Empyrean Zhou Di. I only met the Eastern Continent's Purple Yang Sex Grand Empyrean Gemini. Wang Lin recalled back to his encounter with Greed in the cave world, and the 2 lovely little girls named Wawa and Han Han. I have to attract the attention of the Grand Empyreans and make them come find me themselves. That is the best method. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and then he slowly closed them. He was waiting for the arrival of the Empyrean Exalt, old ancestor of the Devil Dao sect. He was going to keep himself in peak condition and see the extent of his power. Golden Exalts could no longer be used for Wang Lin to gauge his strength. Only Empyrean Exalts could help him do this. As he waited, the Devil Dao sect's sect master's origin soul was being ruthlessly absorbed by him. However, he didn't condense the second spell vein but took out the dozens of third-step origin souls he had gathered. He picked out those at 5 arcane tribulants and below to devour to form the second spell vein. Time slowly passed. Several hours later, when the sky became bright and after Wang Lin had devoured 9 origin souls below 5 arcane tribulants, the second vortex immediately condensed. The moment the second spell vein appeared, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. He felt like he could cast spells even faster than before. The third spell vein is about to appear. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and picked 7 origin souls above 5 arcane tribulants out of the dozens of souls. Because there weren't enough origin souls at the arcane tribulant stage, he devoured an early stage void tribulant origin soul. His body rumbled and the third spell vein appeared. After the third spell vein appeared, he could instantly cast a lot of spells once all of them activated. Even the speed of his ancient Dao body changed drastically. This was different from the cultivator who Wang Lin learned it from. He could only increase his casting speed, not affect his body. This was because the first soul he had devoured belonged to a Nirvana Void cultivator, while Wang Lin had devoured an Arcane Void origin soul. More than half the origin souls were devoured by Wang Lin were going to be used for other things. I wonder how many spell veins the Devil Dao sect's sect master's origin soul will form. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began forming spell veins with the Devil Dao sect's sect master's origin soul. At this moment the sky was bright and the sunlight was shining. As Wang Lin was forming the spell vein, a ray of light flew across the border of the Meng Earth continent and the Green Devil continent. The cultivators were shaken by the ray of light, and none of them dared to peek outside. The boundaries between continents were completely ignored by Empyrean exalts. The Soul Search spell was an extremely powerful spell. However, for a Golden Exalt, even if their origin soul had lost all will, their powerful cultivation formed a strong protective barrier over the countless years. This made it very difficult to soul search them. Even with a forced soul search, one could only obtain some fragments, not everything. Maybe if one's cultivation level was far above a Golden Exalt, then one could perfectly extract the memories. Although Wang Lin could win against Golden Exalts, that was due to the fusion of his ancient Dao body and his cultivation, allowing him to reach that battle strength. In truth, his cultivation level was only early stage void tribulant. While the Devil Dao sect's sect master's origin soul was being refined into a spell vein in Wang Lin's body, Wang Lin tried to soul search it. However, he could not find any important memories like the secret behind the war with the Heavenly Bull continent. He could only find some thoughts about the Empyrean Exalt ancestor. The Devil Dao sect's Empyrean Exalt ancestor, an Empyrean Exalt under Grand Empyrean Daoi. The sun was hanging high in the sky and shining on the earth. Wang Lin opened his eyes and his eyes lit up. In his body, the 4th and 5th spell veins appeared. A golden exalt had allowed 2 spell veins to appear. Wang Lin waved his arms a bit and shadows appeared. Wang Lin clearly felt not only his casting speed increase, but also his terrifying physical strength. This was the key to the rapid spell art. It was what attracted Wang Lin. Let's test how fast my body is. Wang Lin looked up and his body moved. He was still sitting under the sun, but the sunlight distorted and a second Wang Lin appeared 30 feet away. This second Wang Lin stood there and smiled. As he walked forward, the sunlight distorted again and a third Wang Lin appeared 100 feet away. The third Wang Lin frowned and looked up at the sky. It was unknown what he was thinking. Soon, the sunlight continued to distort as the 4th, 5th, 6th, until a total of 98 figures appeared. Some were sitting, some were flying, some were walking, some were casting spells, and some were waving their fists. Each was different, and at a glance it was a shocking sight. The 98th figure sat down next to the first figure. The two looked exactly the same, only their expressions were different. 98 afterimages is the limit, the last figure murmured as the first figure disappeared. Then the second, third, fourth, until 97 figures dissipated. The 98th figures could each be considered an avatar. This was the afterimages left due to Wang Lin's extremely fast physical speed. This meant that his speed was already shocking. It was very simple to reach this kind of speed with the help of spells, but to achieve it purely through the physical body was not ordinary. Now I have 6 spell veins. The rapid spell art can form 9 spell veins, but it doesn't say 9 is the limit. Maybe when I get 9 there will be new changes. This spell is extremely powerful, so I must focus on it. Wang Lin sat down and his eyes shined. The path ahead had been determined, and now it was all about how he would walk down that path. After dealing with the matter at the Celestial Clan, I'll go to teacher and cultivate there. Once I'm more powerful, I can go anywhere I want to search for Wan Er's soul. My current battle power is very high, but still far away from that of those old monsters. My 9 essences have fused into 3. According to my understanding, if I can form the other 2 elements for my 5-element true body, I should reach the mid-stage of Void Turbulent. Similarly, if I could add 2 more special essences to my Thunder Essence-based Essence true body, then I should be able to reach the late stage of Void Turbulent Golden Exalt. Finally, the most difficult will be the Ethereal Essences. If I can comprehend 2 more Ethereal Essences and combine the 5, I should reach peak Void Turbulent Empyrean Exalt. After that, if all my essences form their own Essence true bodies, then with these 3 Essence true bodies, my cultivation level will go beyond Empyrean Exalt and reach a point where I'm only second to Grand Empyreans. Although I don't know the method to become a Grand Empyrean, teacher said that it requires great luck and for the immemorial God realm to open. But if I can fuse all 3 Essence true bodies into one, perhaps I can become a Grand Empyrean. As Wang Lin silently pondered, his eyes shined. This was all his own analysis and he needed time to verify. If my analysis is correct, there must be another level above Grand Empyreans. Perhaps this level is the 4th step or perhaps not. That level would require my 3 Essence true bodies to fuse into one and reach the level of True Soul. This level should be something not even the Grand Empyreans have reached, something they are always in pursuit of. Or perhaps that is the level of the Celestial Ancestor and the Ancient Ancestor. Wang Lin's mind was clear at this moment. Although this was his own speculation and judgment, it was the path he needed to walk in the future. Whether it was true or not, he would know once he reached that point. Special essences and ethereal essences are not easy to obtain. However, the metal and wood elements should be easier. As Wang Lin pondered, the afternoon sun was shining in the sky, but a faint thunderous rumble came from the distance. Wang Lin raised his head, looked at the sky in the distance and slowly stood up. A breeze caused his hair and clothes to flutter, and with the ruins in the background, Wang Lin gave off a strange temperament. Here he comes. Wang Lin's eyes were suddenly filled with battle intent. To attract the attention of the Grand Empyreans, become famous across the 72 continents of the Celestial Clan. This battle is the beginning. As the thunderous rumble in the sky spread, it enveloped the entire world. A powerful killing intent spread out as the ray of light that seemed to split the sky in half rushed into the Green Devil continent. There was a red-haired man inside the light. In an instant, the thunderous rumble dissipated from the world. It was like the moment when a noisy room suddenly became quiet. When the rumble disappeared, the light collapsed and the entire world was dead silent. A figure appeared 1,000 feet before Wang Lin. The red-haired old man was wearing a purple robe with edges and a Tai Chi pattern on right corner. This Tai Chi pattern was fire red, as if it represented Tao. The red-haired old man stood there, and after a long time he looked at Wang Lin and said, "Was it you who destroyed my Devil Tao sect?" He was very calm and didn't show any emotion at all. However, his voice set off countless echoes that became more and more intense. In the end, the sky rumbled, the earth roared, and a shocking sound wave attacked Wang Lin's body. As Wang Lin calmly stood there, his pupils shrank slightly and he slowly said, "Yes. After destroying my Devil Tao sect, you still waited here. Are you going to challenge me?" After the red-haired old man saw how calm Wang Lin was, his eyes became even more intense. Wang Lin looked at the red-haired man and calmly said, "Yes. Good." The Devil Tao sect's old ancestor showed no contempt and didn't show any anger. At his cultivation level, all the emotional fluctuations were gone from his body. He was an Empyrean Exalt under Grand Empyrean Tao Yi. Although he was not the strongest Empyrean Exalt, he was still at the top of the Celestial clan. "I'll give you the opportunity to challenge me. If you can endure 3 punches from me, then I'll forget the matter of you destroying the Devil Tao sect." The Devil Tao sect's old ancestor waved his sleeve and threw a punch at Wang Lin. This punch caused the world to change colors and the ruins of the Devil Tao sect distorted. Everything changed. It was as if this space had become a separate existence. Inside the distortion, all the power of the world was absorbed by the red-haired old man's punch, and there was no power of the world left in this space. At the Empyrean Exalt stage, there is no need to perform spells. A cultivator's body is their root. There is no need for an extremely powerful physical body. One just has to put Tao into the body. Make one's body their Tao. With the body as Tao, even a normal punch contains the Tao that destroy everything. This was what Grand Empyrean Tao Yi had told the red-haired old man. This punch made Wang Lin's pupils shrink. His white hair moved without any wind and his eyes shined brightly. He felt the terror of the punch. Even though it looked ordinary as the punch moved, the world moved as well. This punch also contained 9 different kinds of spells. These spells required no seals or divine sense. Just a casual punch would cause the spells to appear. This was the true power of an Empyrean Exalt. This punch would make Golden Exalts tremble in fear. This punch was enough to kill them 100 times. This was the result of fully integrating one's Tao and will into one's body. The body was Tao, the fist was Tao. The world distorted. As Wang Lin's white hair fluttered, he didn't retreat but also stepped forward and threw a punch with this right hand. He didn't immediately put on the Heavenly Bull's soul armor, but tried with his own power. He wanted to see how he matched against an Empyrean Exalt without the Heavenly Bull's soul armor. At this point, rumbles began to interrupt this silence and the earth began to shatter layer by layer under the collision of their punches. Everything collapsed, but the distortion prevented the collapse from spreading out far, and it could only fly into the air. Inside the storm, thunderous rumbles echoed before Wang Lin, and he withdrew his fist. His body trembled and he retreated 3 steps. The first step left a fire-red footprint. The second step was a green footprint that was covered in vegetation. The third step caused the earth to become metal like a metal footprint. During the 3 steps, Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the Devil Tao sect and Apos, S old ancestor. The storm gradually dissipated and the Devil Tao sect and Apos, S old ancestor walked out and calmly looked at Wang Lin. "To not die or be injured by my punch, and only taking 3 steps remove the 3 spells that entered your body. You have the power to destroy the Devil Tao sect." Wang Lin looked at the Devil Tao sect and Apos, S old ancestor with a solemn expression. That punch contained 9 spells, but he could only block 6. The final 3 steps were to deal with those remaining 3 spells. Is this the power of Grand Empyreans? Very strong. Wang Lin's eyes shined. He wanted to fight an Empyrean Exalt. So Empyrean Exalt cultivators fight like this. Wang Lin recalled the punch from the Devil Tao sect and Apos, S old ancestor, and his eyes became brighter. He was learning. This is the second punch. The Devil Tao sect and Apos, S old ancestor stepped forward. His red hair moved without any wind and his eyes revealed a strange light. As he raised his right hand, his whole body rapidly changed between real and fake. It looked extremely strange as he threw the second punch. The moment the second punch appeared, the entire Devil Dao sect trembled. It was as if an invisible force had appeared and torn open the sky and earth, causing the area around Wang Lin to turn into a void. This was an endless void. In the darkness, Wang Lin could not see the sky or earth. It was as if he was in another world by himself, and the only other thing was the punch. This punch contained 18 spells. If a Golden Exalt saw this punch, they could only feel despair and horror as they weren't qualified to resist. Even 10 Golden Exalts wouldn't be able to delay this punch for one breath of time. This was no longer a difference in quantity, but in quality. Golden Exalt cultivators still use spells to fight. However, Empyrean Exalts fused the Dao into their bodies and integrated it into every movement of their bodies. It was on a much higher level. There are 18 spells inside the fist. Very strong. Fusing the Dao with my body, I can't do that yet. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he raised his right hand. He punched toward the second punch coming at him. I can't fuse Dao with my body and use spells with just a movement from my body. This punch contains a fusion of my ancient and celestial powers. It has no spells, but it contains the power of my faith and will. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent. He stepped forward with a roar as their punches collided. A thunderous rumble echoed across the void. As the sound became even more intense, the void began to show signs of collapse. In an instant, the void was torn apart and formed a destructive collapse. After the void collapsed, the sky was still the sky of the Green Devil continent and the earth was still the ruins of the Devil Dao sect. Wang Lin stood there, 1,000 feet from the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Wang Lin felt like a powerful impact was echoing through his body, and he was pushed back 7 steps. Each step was different, and after 7 steps a rumble came from his body. He lowered his trembling right arm and drops of blood fell on the ground. A powerful second punch, 18 spells fused into a punch. Just one punch can isolate a space from the world. Wang Lin looked up and wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth as he looked at the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor. Your cultivation level is not high, but your battle power barely reaches Empyrean Exalt. But you don't know how Empyrean Exalts battle. I believe I should be the first Empyrean Exalt you have gone up against. The Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor slowly said as he walked forward. His gaze toward Wang Lin became a bit serious. A cultivator that doesn't know how Empyrean Exalts battle can take 2 punches from me. This person is not ordinary. After walking out 10 steps, the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor's eyes shined brightly like he was the spirit of the world. He looked at Wang Lin as he raised his right hand for the 3rd time. The Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor slowly said, "If you can take my last punch, then the matter of you destroying the Devil Dao sect will be written off. This punch contains my full power. If this punch can't kill you, then I really can't kill you. You must have your own reason for why you destroyed the Devil Dao sect, but I won't ask what it is. This 3rd punch will end it all. This punch contains 27 spells. How many can you take?" The Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor said as he raised his right hand. Wang Lin clearly knew that without wearing the soul armor, he couldn't take it. That punch was powerful enough to kill him completely. Not even his ancient Dao body could survive this punch. He would be completely destroyed. Empyrean Exalts, they are indeed worthy of being the peak below Ascendant Empyrean. Wang Lin closed his eyes and the tattoo of the heavenly bull on his face began to spread. At the same time, Wang Lin's cultivation surged. This aura spread out from the heavenly bull's soul and entered Wang Lin's body and flesh like crazy. It also entered Wang Lin's origin soul and soul, causing his cultivation level to immediately climb from early stage void turbulent to mid-stage void turbulent. However, this wasn't the end. It climbed into the late stage of void turbulent, until Wang Lin reached Golden Exalt, before it stopped. This sudden change caused the pupils of the Devil Dao sect's old ancestor to shrink for the first time. Borrowing the soul force? This is the soul power of the heavenly bull. So you are recognized by the heavenly bull. To raise your cultivation level to this extent, you can hear the voice of the heavenly bull's soul. the expression of the Devil Dao sect and Apos' old ancestor changed for the first time. He was well aware of the 72 souls that were suppressed in each of the 72 continents. Although they were all suppressed, the levels of suppression were different in each continent, and so was the strength of each soul. Some of them were already dead souls. Only half of them were still alive. For example, the green scorpion soul. It was originally extremely powerful, but the suppression on it was not weak. It had also been suppressed for a very long time, even before the formation of the Heavenly Bull continent. Its soul had been weakened far too much. The soul of the Heavenly Bull was different. Out of the 72 continents, the Heavenly Bull had joined later, so it was sealed for a shorter period of time. The Heavenly Bull was also powerful, and was ranked 18th among the 72 souls. Obtaining the recognition of a soul was not that special. Any continent where the soul was still alive would have messengers like this. However, obtaining recognition was only the start. Even with the soul force, at most they could reach the late stage of Void Tribulate, not Golden Exalt. This was a consensus that people came to after countless years. It was by no means impossible, but very few people could hear the roar of the soul and receive a higher degree of recognition to reach Golden Exalt. But Golden Exalt was the absolute limit and couldn't be exceeded. If it was the rank 1 soul sealed under the Imperial City, it might be possible after reaching high recognition, but it would be impossible for the other souls. Most importantly, the number of cultivators that could reach Golden Exalt with the soul armor was even lower than Empyrean Exalts, around the same as Ascendant Exalts. This was because at most only 2 people could receive high recognition on each continent. As a result, the Devil Dao sect and Apos' old ancestor had never heard of someone who was an Empyrean Exalt and had also received high recognition by a continent's soul. In his view, the chance of this happening was even lower than someone becoming an Ascendant Empyrean and just a bit more likely than a new Grand Empyrean being born. Enduring 2 punches from me proves that he's qualified to be an Empyrean Exalt, to even have high recognition of the Heavenly Bull. This, the Devil Dao sect and Apos' old ancestor revealed a hint of emotion he hadn't revealed in a long time. Any Grand Empyrean who saw this person would want to take him under them. I just don't know what cultivation level he will reach with the power of the soul armor. Devil Dao sect and Apos' old ancestor's eyes lit up. He raised his right hand and threw out the 3rd punch. The moment this punch flew out, the fist that contained his 27 spells formed a giant black hole between him and Wang Lin. This black hole seemed to devour everything, and the ruins of the Devil Dao sect were being swallowed by it. Even the sky seemed to collapse. It distorted and arched and was being devoured by the black hole. The earth turned into a strange half-circle that was being mercilessly pulled by the black hole. The black hole released a strange howl as it flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin opened his eyes and Golden Exalt power filled his body. He clearly felt a sense of strength he had never felt before flow through his body. His body trembled and a second body appeared. The second body took a step and then a 3rd, 4th, 5th, until the 98th body appeared. 97 of them were afterimages and 1 of them was real. I can't fuse Dao with my body or use spells with just my movement. However, I can use the rapid spell art to use 98 spells at once to battle an Empyrean Exalt. After fusing the Dao with the body, a punch or kick could contain a number of spells. This was the strongest way to display power for an Empyrean Exalt. The Devil Dao sect and Apos' old ancestor could fuse 27 spells within his fist. It was strong enough to wipe out any cultivator below Empyrean Exalt. The key was the number of spells that could fuse, not the amount of different spells. Some Empyrean Exalts might not have dozens of spells, but they could fuse dozens of the same spell and reach similar combat power. The key was the amount. After the rapid spell art reached 6 spell veins and allowed Wang Lin to create 97 afterimages, his speed reached a terrifying degree. Wang Lin could use this trick to instantly cast 98 spells. He could do this because his current combat power had reached Empyrean Exalt. If one hadn't reached Empyrean Exalt combat power, then even with 9 spell veins, hundreds of afterimages, and casting hundreds of spells, they wouldn't be a match for an Empyrean Exalt. Even if an Empyrean Exalt learned the rapid spell art, if they could only use 27 spells, even if hundreds of afterimages used those spells, they would still only display power similar to the 27 spells their original body could display. Because their limit would be 27 spells, it couldn't be exceeded, just like how a bottle could only hold so much water. No matter how much water you tried to fill it with, it could only hold so much. But Wang Lin was different. His actual battle strength was infinitely stronger due to his ancient Tao body, and because of the soul blood. The soul blood played a vital role. As a result, with his current borrowed golden exalt cultivation, the battle strength he could display was even greater. This was also why Wang Lin could battle people above his cultivation level, after fusing his ancient and celestial powers. The other reason Wang Lin had become so strong here, even though he wasn't as strong in the cave world, was his strongest avatar in the void. These three powers fusing together was the reason why Wang Lin possessed the combat power he had now. His body was the bottle, his cultivation was the water, and the strongest avatar was what made the bottle flexible, as if was elastic and could continue to expand. The existence of the soul blood made Wang Lin undergo a change. Normally, this change wouldn't reveal itself, but it was one of the reasons for Wang Lin's strength. It was a fundamental difference that made the other ancient clan members not be able to match up to Wang Lin. All these fortunes might not seem important one at the time, but stacked together, they caused a shocking effect. As the black hole closed in, the 98 Wang Lins appeared. The 98 Wang Lins didn't use 98 different spells. They all used the same one. He performed the Heaven Bull charge he had obtained from the sliver of memory after using the Heavenly Bull soul armor 98 times. This Heavenly Bull charge could perfectly display the borrowed power. The 98 bodies all raised their hands and formed horns on their heads. As a continuous roar echoed, they charged forward. The earth trembled and the sky turned into the void. The sun in the sky collapsed, and the only things left in the world were the Devil Dao sect and Appos, old ancestor, his black hole, and the 98 Wang Lins. The 98 Wang Lins dissipated until one body was left. It let out a heaven-shattering roar after using 98 Heavenly Bull charges. As the roar echoed, a giant Heavenly Bull shadow appeared. This shadow was very real, as if the Heavenly Bull's true body had escaped. After it appeared, it let out a Heavenly Bull roar. This Heavenly Bull shadow was completely green and gave off an ancient aura. It contained an indomitable aura and raised its head. The two large black horns charged forward as it let out a roar. Heavenly Bull charge. From afar, the giant Heavenly Bull shadow covered Wang Lin, and it slammed into the black hole with its two black horns. If this scene became a painting, it would become a beautiful treasure across the immortal astral continent. Rumble, 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 rumble. The 27 spells inside the black hole were destroyed. The black hole itself trembled and disintegrated due to the impact. The collapse of the black hole caused the Heavenly Bull's giant head to pause for a moment, but it could not stop it. The Heavenly Bull charged toward the Devil Dao sect and Appos, old ancestor. All of this happened very fast. The moment the black hole collapsed, the horn of the Heavenly Bull arrived before the Devil Dao sect and Appos, old ancestor. The red-haired old man's expression suddenly changed. His eyes revealed a rare trace of shock and he rapidly retreated. A fusion of 98 spells. He can't fuse the Tao with his body, but this method achieves a similar effect. If he could use one more spell, wouldn't he be stronger? The limit of Empyrean Exalt is 99, and one more than that would be considered reaching Ascendant Empyrean. After borrowing the power of the soul armor, he is so powerful. The red-haired old man raised his hands. With a roar he attacked several times. This is almost enough to be comparable to an Ascendant Empyrean cultivator. He hasn't fused his Tao with his body, and these 98 spells are not a whole. They were fused by force and are not perfect, but even so I can barely resist. Every punch was formed by a fusion of 27 spells, and they all collided with the Heavenly Bull. This caused the 98 spells inside the Heavenly Bull to collapse one by one. The collision with the black vortex earlier had caused nearly 40 spells to collapse within the Heavenly Bull. Now the red-haired old man attacked once more, and more than 40 spells collapsed again. However, more than 10 spells hadn't dissipated, and they slammed into the red-haired old man. He coughed out blood and was pushed back, but at the same time, Wang Lin created 98 afterimages once more. With a roar, the second Heavenly Bull charge appeared. Another large Heavenly Bull appeared in the sky and charged forward. What powerful strength and speed! I couldn't even resist the first wave. and the second wave arrived so fast. His body has to be extremely powerful to be able to bear casting continuously like this. The red-haired old man suddenly retreated. As the second heavenly bull shadow charged at him again, a grand Empyrean aura erupted from the purple Dao robe he was wearing. This Dao robe was a gift from Grand Empyrean Dao Yi. At key moments it could save one and Appo's life. When the Grand Empyrean aura appeared, a vague shadow appeared before the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor. This shadow was formed by a sliver of Grand Empyrean Dao Yi's divine sense. This figure appeared suddenly and blocked the heavenly bull charge. Then it suddenly turned and threw a punch at the heavenly bull charge. This punch looked very ordinary, like a mortal was throwing it. Even the world was calm, like if nothing happened, but the heavenly bull instantly collapsed. The 98 spells inside were all destroyed. When the heaven bull shadow collapsed, Wang Lin was pushed out and his face was pale, but his eyes were fierce. Grand Empyrean Dao Yi. Greetings, Grand Empyrean Dao Yi. Behind the vague shadow, the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor immediately clasped his hands and bowed toward the shadow. The shadow was originally a blur, but soon it went from a blur to clearly revealing the figure inside. This was a young man wearing a Dao robe. He only looked around 20-something. He had black hair and sharp brows. He was very handsome, and his star-like eyes that would make one lose themselves if one looked into them. He wore a simple Dao robe and looked very ordinary standing there. However, the heavens didn't move, the wind didn't move, nothing moved. Even the operation of the heavens and earth seemed to completely stop. Before him there was still some dust floating. That dust had floated into the air due to the battle and should have fallen down, but right now it was frozen in the air. There was also the collapsed earth. Some of the surface was being torn apart by the shockwave of the battle, but right now it was completely frozen. This scene caused Wang Lin's pupils to shrink. He even felt that his own heartbeat began to slow due to this strange aura. It was as if it was going to stop like everything else. What was particularly shocking was the blood the Devil Dao sect and Appo's old ancestor had coughed out. It should have fallen to the earth, but it was now floating. Is this the power of a Grand Empyrean? This is just a sliver of divine sense left